this one right here. And then she can't figure out how to shut the alarm off. And then like it's the red button.
Oh, tell me.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I did, I was like, blah, blah, unlock it, unlock, and then I would like try and start the car, I'm like, oh, now I don't even know what I put, it was push button.
Except for the red one.
Yeah. And he stopped. It was a panic button.
As it is 6 o'clock on Tuesday, June 24th, 2025, we'll call the Hermosa Town Board regular meeting to order. Roll call. Kramer is here. Ferguson. Kuntz.
Here.
Harris is not here. I do believe she's coming. Service.
Here.
Thank you, board. Thank you all for coming tonight. I know we have a lot of fun stuff on the agenda, so we'll try to get this moving along. Please stand and join me for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Two, call for changes, a review of the current agenda items. Is there any changes that you know of, Terry? No. Does anybody else have any changes? None. I entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we accept the agendas.
Donna makes a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
And second that motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you. Three, consent calendar, the approval of the June 10th regular meeting minutes. Any questions from the board? Any comments from the board? And entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Cal makes that motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Aaron seconds that. Is there any discussion from anyone? None? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Please note when you have a conflict of interest. And that brings us down to the public hearing.
Madam Chair.
Oh,
Just
excuse
a
me.
note. Sorry. I will be conflict of interest on item 18A, Pop's grocery store. So any discussion I'll be doing on that is as a citizen, not a board member.
18A.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Right ahead. Note in the minutes that Mr. Harris is here. So the public hearing tonight is for the new application for an on-sale liquor license from the Hermosa Community Center. There's some conflict with that. And it stems from the fact that as long as there's another liquor license in that location, we cannot administer two.
Same property?
Pardon me?
On the same property?
On the same property, yes. So, we need to know if Andrea is giving up her license. Okay, so you do realize that you will be paying that $350 a month.
Yep.
And, okay. And when are you moving out of the building?
So I got a thing for August 15th to be out. I guess I withheld my lease payment until the AC was fixed, so now they've evicted me, but I don't think it's legal because it's not from a lawyer, it's not from a judge, it's not notarized, it was just sent to my PO box certified. And
Okay.
I just received that, so now that one says that I have to be out July 14th.
Okay, so that would be between you, that has nothing to do with the board. We've had no problems with you, law enforcement wise. We have no problems with, the owners of the building either, so that is going to be between you two to work that out. And when that process is done, we can come back to the board and review this license for you then, right?
And so what about the beer?
You already have it, don't you?
No, I haven't.
So we want to get it for the Hermosa community center, which is for the upstairs.
Kent?
Well, one that, as I understand it, based on what Terry and I discussed earlier, that starting with one thing is that each license is site specific, that legal description. So the question on the floor then is that current holder wishes to hold on to that license, essentially, but not having a premises, right?
Correct.
Okay.
As of yet. So when I find a new address, I will be more than happy to change the address for it and they can apply, but I don't know when that will be.
As I recall, state law allows a license to be dormant. Well, that's county, that's frankly a county thing. I don't believe county allows us to be dormant no more than 2 years. Or 2 rallies, right? So, I'm not sure about that, if we can have a dormant license, in this county, what that is. Or in Hermosa, frankly. But, that would, of course, that would dictate that your expiration is July 15th, right?
14th to be out.
For the
For
premises.
Mhm.
Okay. And so if you could find obvious question is if you can locate a premises which to attach that license.
Correct.
Then, it would be up to the board, because it's still discretionary. And if it really comes down to the highest, best use of the license that we're able to offer, that would be one that produces taxes, revenue, sales tax. And so if you have a location picked out, but it's simply giving you the legal description to hold it in dormancy for a while,
Mhm.
then it really is up to the board whether they want to renew it for that purpose.
Well, and I don't have a problem paying what the taxes are, what you were making off of me down at that bar either. So I'm more than willing to give the community money.
So we have to look at that aspect of it. With regard to the party that wants to buy that license, or rather,
And
It would be a new one.
it'd be a new
Malt beverage, right?
No,
no, well,
full liquor.
We're looking
Exactly,
at beer
not
and
beer.
liquor.
if he's applying for both.
Okay, okay.
So so Lane had the malt beverage license last year, and then when Andrea started her bar, they transferred that, just the malt beverage license. So in talking to the Department of Revenue, we had to have a public hearing because he doesn't currently hold a malt beverage license right now, and then he's actually applying for an on sale that we do have available, because we have 3 available, and we were only utilizing 2 of them. So.
Okay. And it's in the best interest of the community to get the license out there and working, you know. So the question goes back to then, you're going into the premises where she was.
Yeah.
actually, they're kind of already there. There's the upstairs and the downstairs. The actual bar is downstairs that Andrea has. And the community center has been using the upstairs of the facility on and off for different programs, different things. So the difference is that there's no restrooms in the upstairs. The door can be locked in between the two, but there are no restrooms upstairs. As far as the beer license goes, And I know that there are several businesses in Rapid City that have, two, they can only have 10 machines per business and they're in the same building. How will this work for his beer license? Can he get one now or would that have to wait?
And like the firehouse has their own restaurant beer and liquor downstairs, and then they used to have like Fat Boys or the Comedy Club and whatnot upstairs.
Right.
It's like a level 1, level 2 on the same big old section or something.
And the service of food has something to tie in with that too.
Mhm.
There's a whole different
Yes.
breed
The
of,
same thing where the restrooms are both downstairs in both places, with a different business upstairs.
okay.
I don't know how they do that, but just an example.
Right. Well, by issuing the license that they're seeking tonight, is that to the detriment of, sorry, what was your name again?
And
Andrea? Is that to Andrea's detriment or the town's detriment to issue that license? It sounds like she's leaving the premises. So best interest of the town then is to get the other license active and keep that an active bar. I would like to hold whether or not he can have a malt beverage license and, because they're both on sale, right? Yeah. And a liquor license includes the sale of beer and wine, stuff like that. So, and the liquor license also allows to have the 10 machines. Beer license can also, but it has been on a separated premises. And frankly, it goes back to the platted location a lot. So I want to look into that, having the malt beverage on the same parcel. But it would be my recommendation that if it's already move on that, you're going to be moving.
Yeah, but I don't have an address yet for my liquor license to transfer it to. So until that happens, I believe that you can only have one of each license in the structure.
can I have a couple comments here?
Well, okay, I'm just shooting this out there. If the upstairs has a different address than the downstairs and is totally locked off so they can't get into from upstairs into the other part of the building, is that possible?
But they don't have a separate address. It's the same address, it's been the same address for years, and it still is such.
Okay,
So that's, could they get a separate address? I guess if they divided the business in half, they certainly could. Just a minute, Lane.
I'd just like to read, if Terry, I'd like to read this email so everybody sees exactly what we got from the Department of Revenue. We would need something in writing, email is fine, from TW Saloon stating they wish to cancel their liquor licenses and return it to the city. If that is done prior to July 15th, we can issue the liquor license to the community center. So it sounds like they basically said that we can't, she's already stated that she's going to keep it. And it sounds like they've said that we can't issue it if she keeps it.
Right.
So it sounds like,
We can issue one because we have another club. That is not the only liquor license available. We have one available. So,
On and off.
we're talking on sale. So, however, it doesn't pertain to tonight because we can do nothing until they have the building to use.
Okay, but I would say that it's holding up the town from getting revenue.
Not if I'm paying for it.
You're paying for a license, you don't get no revenue off.
I'll give you what I make every month as a payment.
Yeah, but that's not considered revenue, is it?
We could do property agreement.
So this would be another operating agreement. We get an
Yeah,
additional,
right,
we get Andrea's 350 plus we get another
Right,
350.
right. So it's revenue that the town is not getting.
That we're currently not getting, but will.
Will get, yes. Go ahead.
Andrea, just want to ask, is there any possibility that this might be worked out and you stay there?
Oh, no, we're past that. I think.
Definitely. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
we could have, but they have other plans in mind to move somebody else in as soon as I'm out. So I don't have a problem once I find a new address for a bar to transfer that address to that, but until then, I can't change the address and I'm keeping my liquor license.
And I feel that it is, our agreement is with her and she holds her license and like you said, she hasn't done nothing wrong. She can keep it, continue to pay the $350 a month.
But is that not a city license?
It is a city-owned license.
Right.
That she's
Leased
leasing under
to-
an operating agreement.
I understand that whole story, but she got property that
Yes,
she's looking at
yes.
in the town or Hermosa?
Yes.
I think that in the past, we've had them paid monthly without being open for a while. So that's not really an issue. You can keep that, keep paying your monthly fee and, but is it still 5% purchased, which would be nothing until you find your new address. So you're just basically paying on your license monthly. So then it comes down to, with the other license, because of the premises being the same, you're gonna be up July 15th or 14th.
14, yeah.
Can we approve another one? Approve it to be effective July 15th?
To move.
I believe that we could, but I also believe
Depending upon the
that
fact that she has.
it is something that we should just wait to
empty.
make sure.
Well, then you
rec
still
goes
have to
through
publish for another and have another public hearing and do all that, so.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm fine either way, just options. Okay.
and,
I think we do really need to compartmentalize the fact that whatever disagreement may be occurring.
Oh, it's
is
theirs.
Well outside the town's authority. So we don't necessarily even be needing to be discussing whether or not and when she's going to leave the premises. Just that she currently holds the license. She's informed us that she plans to continue paying it. And I think that we kind of have to grow on those facts rather than any particularities of any
I
disagreements
was
or
just
issues.
confirming when the building will be empty, so you can allow our extra third license to be issued to an applicant. So they'll have an operating agreement with a separate license. We're not transferring her license to them when she leaves. She's keeping hers. We have a third one available.
But I think it's only one license of each for that address.
Right.
However, you won't be having that address any further.
I can't
So-
change my address on my liquor license, so you have to have an address on your liquor license. So it'll have to stay that until I find a new premises.
That'll be a problem, I think. So we'll have Kent do some more research on that and
Yeah, I just want to make sure I've got all of
because you're not there. I mean,
That's why you don't crap on people.
the other alternative is to not renew her license for lack of a location. And then that license will be held dormant, just like the other one that we think we can issue.
Which is fine, but that's not until November. I didn't get my liquor license until November.
And you anticipate having a location pretty much secured before that,
This is for most, it takes a little bit of time to get a spot.
all right?
Nick, you had your hand up. I mean, Lane, sorry.
Just so I'm clear, so July or whatever the date, I just need to come back then and we'll redo the process.
Correct. Let's have Kent check into it about the address. I think,
If I wait until after,
well, like she says, she still holds the license.
About
She is
legal
still
description.
willing to pay for it. We'll have to find out from the state if we can change that address some way or
She'll have to do a transfer.
she would have to.
Transfer.
For a license to a different property.
Right. And So at that time, it would be up to the board to protect the citizens and the finances of the citizens to make sure that we're still getting income.
And I'm still a citizen and I'm still paying for it, so I would be protected in that.
Yes, partially.
And then also ask if when she transfers or changes her address on her current license, if it can be, to be determined for a period of however long the state might allow, 6 months until she finds her new place under that act. If they allow that, or if it has to be changed to.
It's typically you transfer to, you have your location when you transfer. Correct?
That's right in here.
To transfer, you have to have a location.
Absolutely. Yeah, and
To be determined.
what I did, again, Meade County, we transferred our license from the bar we had when we sold it to a nearby campground that we also owned. And then we utilized it twice a year to stay within compliance with the ordinance until we sold it. So, the ordinances are probably different here, but that is one idea. You secure the ability to declare a certain location, whether it's you have one festival or something, until you get your regular place, and then transfer it to the brick and mortar place that you want.
Yeah.
Need to ask Kent, what authority does the Department of Revenue hold in this matter?
Frankly, the ultimate authority, because it's our license, but Department of Revenue controls the we'll say the accounting of it, but
They issue the license.
yeah, Department of Revenue is still.
Limit the number.
So if we have this email from the Department of Revenue saying the only way that we can issue the license to the community center is for DW Saloon stating they wish to cancel their license and return it to the city, then, and she's already said she doesn't want to do that, so I think.
Or earlier was on there where she could transfer it to a new location. I'd ask that first.
Yeah, for that one.
Right, but we're not at that point yet, and it seems to me we're just kind of
Bouncing back.
going around in circles because we're talking about eventualities that have not yet occurred, so,
Right.
Taking
that point further, it's not our decision whether she just pays in the amount of tax that she would have typically paid in, because frankly, I don't think that's legal. So, the bottom line is, we have at least one more meeting before the 15th, right? So I would continue this issue. And that would do two things. We figure out what exactly the law says on it in this county and for the state. Actually, that's kind of down in the state and how that interacts. But mainly, you give the opportunity to lease something, whether it's an open field with a tent on.
Right,
Lease something.
but I'm not just gonna hurry to do it to make everything convenient for them either. So
Well,
that's what I'm saying.
But the consequence of that, if you don't have, in my opinion so far, I'm at.
Yeah, I could put a yurt up somewhere. Have some AC in there, have a
Well,
little fireplace, a little bar.
all I'm saying is that you have to have proper zoning.
Yep.
And,
Like, I have been looking, just so you know.
sure,
So-
yeah, I believe that. But if you don't have a location to transfer it to by next meeting, it
Well,
would.
I'm still good until November though. Can't just take the license from me.
No, I get that, but it would. Well, once it loses location though, no, I just think you have.
I do have a license, so as long as I pay for it.
Oh, that's like I check on, not if it doesn't have a legal description, physical legal description to go with. And you're losing that as of July 14th, right?
Well, yeah, but I need to find another location. You can't just take somebody's liquor license.
Right, that's the whole point.
Yeah.
We'll find the location.
But I don't have an address, so that's what I'm working on. So it's gonna be a while.
We'll find it quick, is all I'm saying, because otherwise we're put in a position at some point to have to yank it.
Oh, I don't think that's legal.
We can.
We should probably look into that before we start saying that stuff.
As we said,
Yeah,
he needs to do more research.
Yeah.
We need to do more research, and we'll leave this as it is now, until the next meeting. So, Aaron,
Go ahead and make a motion so we can move on.
okay?
To dismiss the new application for the on-sale liquor license under guidance from the Department of Revenue.
You said dismiss it, the application?
You just wanna
I would say continue it, not dismiss it.
continue it through research. So that research can be done.
Yeah, you want to continue, you want to dismiss it.
So they don't have to reapply and republish. Saves a little time for everyone.
That is what you want to do. Okay,
I want to make sure we make this decision based on what's happening now, not what may happen next month. That's completely out of our control. I just want to make sure we do something based on the facts that are available to us.
Or my next meeting.
Terry, how much does it cost them to apply for the liquor license?
There's no figures on the cost.
So they can just apply again? Yeah, I'm gonna go with dismissal on that motion.
okay, we have a motion and a second to dismiss the liquor license application for the Hermosa Community Center. Aaron's made that, Donna seconded.
Is that the liquor license and the malt beverage?
It doesn't say malt, it doesn't say malt.
Separate motion.
No, there, so
Items A and C?
Just item A.
just item A.
Okay.
Kent,
I would recommend that it simply be continued instead of dismissed. Dismissed as a, it sounds an awful lot like deny. And I don't think that's what Aaron wants to do, but to continue it to the next one could be probably most appropriate.
thank you, Kent.
I thought about that in quite a bit of detail earlier, that denial would not necessarily look great for the community center. That's not the goal here. The goal is not to deny. It's to dismiss because we have been told that we cannot currently issue it. It's a situation beyond our control. So the dismissal is essentially, we can't do it right now. Not we'll never do it, but just we can't do it right now. So I do believe dismissal is appropriate.
And I would agree with that. Dismiss is really not, my recollection, a criminal bar with regard to official action, pending application.
Thank you, Kent. Any other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
3 ayes. All those opposed?
Nay.
Aye. 2 opposition. Okay, motion carried. Motion, public hearing for the new application for the malt beverage and wine license for the Hermosa Community Center. So we've already discussed it. All is basically the same thing. So do I have a motion for this one? Aaron,
I'll make that motion.
the same to dismiss?
The same to dismiss with an exchange of on-sale liquor license for malt beverage wine license.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Donna, second.
Is your recommendation the same on that as well?
Discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
3 ayes. I'm a nay.
Yeah.
2 nays. Motion carried. Thank you. All right. That brings us to the town and FEMA updates. I guess I should say, as soon as we know anything, we will let you both know.
Okay.
Thank you. Town and FEMA updates. We have anything?
And we did get that, from Bridget, she had the RFP, you should have a copy of it. Yes, the request was
I don't know, to remind you, it has to be published next week, so it means approved tonight. So it can go to the paper by Thursday.
So we need an approval on the request for proposals for the 2025 Hermosa Drainage and Sewer Assessment and Improvement Plans for Bridget, Anthony, and I have a motion.
Make a motion to approve it to be published.
Shannon makes the motion to approve for publication. Do I have a second?
Follow their timeline.
Second,
Cal, seconds the motion. Any discussion, any questions? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Done. Cal, aye.
yep.
Thank you. Motion carried, thank you. That brings us to claims. You have a question
Claims.
on claims? Okay.
As we discussed in last week's work session, we are at the point now where we are $23,000 into our legal budget with a $30,000 total budget. And this claim brings us to the point where we have about $1,700 left in our legal budget for the year if we issue it, which is less than the retainer for a single month, which would be the month of August, leaving us with no budget left for the remainder of the year. So we need to decide how we're going to handle that. And I think what we need to do is discuss the future of our legal budget in executive session. So I'll make a motion to withhold Hag LLP claim until discussion during executive session.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Shannon.
You know that when we approved Kent's contract, we knew at that time that we were going to have to amend the budget based on the retainer amount and the expectation that he would be at the meeting. We calculated it at that time and decided that that's what we were gonna have to do. So I'm not sure what more discussion is, since we already agreed to do it. That's one comment. Do you remember when that was? Was it the beginning of the year
Yeah.
or last fall? At some point, we'd have to pull the contract to look, but that's when we did.
I don't believe there is a
Aaron?
contract. I believe it was an agreement or a proposal and a motion made to approve it. I believe there's a contract.
Motion to accept the proposal.
Right.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
Can I ask Kent, is any of the amount on the claims at this time, that's for work already done? Or is this all for, retainer?
Half of it is, well, everything over 2,500 is, the 2,500 is the next one. Is the retainer that's to be paid on the first piece or ish of the next section, next time.
Right,
I don't see where we can expect to withhold payment on
Right.
something that we already agreed.
well, that was gonna be my next point, that, I think the only thing under discussion here should be the retainer for next month and not for services already rendered.
Is that-
Go ahead.
Yeah, I would support that. That's why I think this is a discussion that we need to have at length. And
But the
if you
motion
want
on
to
the
have
floor
it,
is to withhold it, right?
if you want to have it open, yes, until pending discussion in executive session. Now, if you want to do the discussion in the open, then
Should be.
that's fine. But one principal component is that there is a very clear conflict of interest here. An officer of a municipality cannot discuss this matter if it directly affects. So if we're going to discuss this, it has to be as the board.
Yeah.
Let me just clarify my earlier point, which is, I think that if there's any withholding that is should be done at this time. Should be discussed further at some other point. It should just be the retainer for next month, and that we should not at this time withhold any of the fee for services already rendered.
Okay, thank you.
I'm willing to amend my motion to that effect.
Okay.
So I will amend my motion to reduce the distribution to Hag and Tag LLP by an amount of $2,500 regarding the July retainer until further discussions around the legal budget can be made.
Okay,
Derek, can I see the bill that Maria sent you? I want to make sure if that said, the retainer for June and July.
July.
It does say for July.
Okay, July.
Thank you.
Can I also comment?
Yeah.
We have many departments that are over budget that we need to look at. We know that in a work session. The street department, number one, is probably double. Does that mean we stop all work on roads and not
That's
pay anybody?
false. It's not even
it's not,
close.
we haven't even met our,
Once the work's all
Budget, yeah.
done, it's not gonna be over.
well, it depends on what we're, not what we've approved, no.
No, the lagoon doesn't come out of the streets.
Yeah,
One thing on that is that, the 2,500 is for July. And I would obviously under that perform $2,500 of services for July. That would obligate me to that as if it's moving forward. So one way or the other, this just really comes down to cash flow for me then. But I think it's something that you're paying for anyhow that you'll get or have gotten.
thank you. So we've had discussion and the motion says exactly what, Terry? Sorry.
So he amended his motion to reduce the pay claim by 2,500 for the July retainer until further discussion.
In
And
executive session,
and
Does
did
that
you want
sound
an executive
reasonable?
session or did you want?
or, well, I think that's appropriate.
So you're willing to pay 2570.50. Reduce that claim to 2570.50.
Yes.
Can I also note that our next meeting is in July and we already have them doing research for July, so they'll go into July.
Yep, we can discuss that
Right.
if this motion carries.
On that note, future motions, future directions to legal really need to be done with a motion to help prevent some of this in the future from bills sometimes not necessarily reflecting things that have been approved by the board. So any actions in the future, as should only come from a motion requesting these actions. So bill of allowance should reflect only items which motions were made in support of.
Thank you. Let's go ahead and vote. All those in favor of this motion? 2 ayes. All those opposing this?
Did you say aye?
All those opposing?
Nay.
Nay.
Abstain.
So where does that leave us, Kent? Your motion failed,
Yeah,
Yes.
bills.
okay? I would entertain another motion on the claims.
I make a motion to approve the claims as presented.
Shayla's made the motion to approve as presented. Do I have a second to that?
I'll second.
Yeah.
Cal seconds that motion. All those in favor?
Sorry about that, Anthony.
Aye.
Right.
No worries.
3 ayes. Nay?
Nice.
And 2 nays, motion carried. All right, thank you, board. Hello, Anthony.
Oh, can you hear me?
I can. Thank you.
Great.
That brings us to old business. There is no.
Unless you were doing things if
You were done with that, right?
you need your item like quickly, Anthony.
No, I'm over, I'm good.
Okay, okay.
Okay. That brings us to 9, the adjournment of the meeting with the old board members.
You make a motion to adjourn.
Jana makes a motion.
I second.
Donna seconds that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Very good. So now we need. Yeah.
Do we usually recess?
Oh, not yet.
No.
Probably in a little bit, yes, but. Recommencement with the new board. As it goes, the, Donna and myself and Aaron will all take an oath of office. But we do need to re-adjourn to do that. Not adjourn.
Recommence.
Roll call, recommence, thank you, yes. Kramer's here, Ferguson.
Yep.
Coots,
Yes, ma'am.
Service.
Here.
Okay. We're all here again. Still? Okay.
You do.
We can do this all together, can't we?
Yes.
Okay, would you like us to stand?
Yeah, of course, raise your right hand.
Put the other one on the Bible.
Okay, so this is the oath of office for Aaron Service, Donna Ferguson, and Linda Kramer. I, state your name,
Linda Kramer.
having been elected to the, yes, having been elected to the office
Of Board of Trustees within and for the town of Hermosa in said county and state, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the state of South Dakota, and the ordinances of said town of Hermosa,
And that I will
and
faithfully and impartially, to the best of my knowledge and ability, perform all duties of my said office of Board of Trustees.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Are all 3 of these
Sign somewhere?
Yes, they're all.
No, yeah.
No,
Donna's-
no, Donna's is the one here, sorry.
Thank you.
Any other 2 or 3? Yes.
Actually, your copy, Ken got the original, so
Oh,
I had to change it.
Oh,
So
that's my
yeah,
copy.
so we just sign- We'll sign the
No.
one that, no, sign the one that gets, even the
Well, I
original.
seen it.
That's why I took copy on that, so
Stuck with Aaron for 3 years.
couldn't get them confused.
Dang.
Yeah, man. Maybe. There are other options.
There we go.
Thank
This
you.
one on there. Sign.
Here.
And then give them one of yours.
There's your real one.
Fun.
So we already did a roll call. Now it's the acknowledgement of the trustee conduct. and obligations. You'll have that. Please turn it in at the next meeting.
So all the board members need to sign, everybody, each of the other ones do. You sign
All of them.
you sign your top line and then all the board members will sign and then Kent will sign it. Yeah.
I guess we'll do it all.
There you
Okay. Send it down that way.
go. If you have one of these, you need to sign yours
Mhm.
at the very top and then all the other board members will sign it as well.
This one?
So
So
we each have our own.
We have our own, it's all in your file.
We all have to
So
sign
you sign,
everyone.
you sign the top line down and then everybody else will sign below it. And then Kent will sign it. And then those will go in your person's file.
All 5 board members sign it.
Mhm.
You get yours?
Email it last year.
Oh.
Just for you to go instead of your. The one that the bill, so.
I know.
You did.
You get it. Look it up. You can never read theirs. You
Kent, sign on that one.
need to sign them all, but yeah. And that's Kent, please.
What are we signing? Are they just copied?
There's one for
no.
each board member, so then.
Sorry. Scare ya.
No, they don't have to try anything, just when they're.
Pretty fun, just run along with the whole scene, assuming, once you figure what's gonna go.
They need to get it every year.
Code of conduct.
All right, with that being done, that brings us to appointments and the election of the Board of Trustee officers. First is president. After such will be vice president. Do I have any nominations?
Nominate you, Amanda.
Shanna nominates Kramer. We have a second to that nomination? Do we have any other nominations? Aaron?
I'll nominate Calvin Koontz for the president.
Coops, Cal? And do I have a second to that?
I'll second that.
Donna seconds that. Okay. Any other motions? Any other nominations? None being said? All those in favor for Cal being the president?
Aye.
All right.
You said aye. Aye. Okay. Motion carried. Very good. So on that note, well, we could do the vice president quick, I guess. You want me to go ahead and,
Yeah, that's fine.
okay. So nominations for vice president? Carol?
I nominate Linda as vice president.
I'll second.
Motion's been made. Nomination's been made, and any other nominations? Okay, all those in favor?
I,
Okay, motion carried, thank you. As it is now, we will take a 5-minute break and resume with the new presidents and then carry on with that. Where so that is, yeah, so that, so let me say this, this is a break for the rest of the people. Not necessarily for us, because we need to break off on March and the president needs to decide where he wants to.
Down over there, but you're there. No, I
well, you guys still need to share a stool? You still need to share a stool?
Well, I like to.
If you can hear.
Storm starting?
I sat over there and that was kind of nice for them because you have a little extra. Yeah, and I kind of chill this one.
Where do you wanna go, Linda? Do you care? Want to switch?
That's how you want it.
I'll get find it out next time. Pardon me?
Did I?
How are you feeling? How are you doing?
Yes, please.
Which one?
I
What's your name?
like. Quick home. You go to what? They're supposed to be there.
Oh.
So it's something that Cal could consider.
Is this yours? Nope.
It'd be harder for you than me.
Well, excuse me.
Probably more muscle. And you think, Phil? You want to be cake with them? I need four.
Set it here.
Thank you.
Yeah, Dan already.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sure.
I shouldn't. Yeah. Wait, where are we?
I need one.
Where do you think? Is this it? Is this your choice? No, you're down here?
I'm here.
Oh, no.
Somebody's gotta keep airing.
What, did you want to change?
I don't wanna.
Be between two girls?
No, I wanna be with you.
You wanna what?
I wanna be able to like see everybody. It's weird having Cal behind me.
You may want to go.
No, it's fine.
Who's got the prime rib? Where is it? I heard that.
No, I can't see the time. It's a thing. You don't even want help.
Hi, Annie.
That's all right, man. I got you off this side. I can see the door.
Well, that's what I
Uh,
We got him in a second. We can,
You'll be up all night.
we can go through
Laura,
Tonight,
out of here, Anthony.
I would like to hear.
You hear it? Well, we can move this. We can move this closer-ish, right? You can move this closer. Because if I try to do anything with that now, it'll crash.
Anthony's still on there?
Yes, yes, he is.
Have this, we just can't handle the report and change at the same time.
Anthony, why don't I call you, can I call you from my phone, put on speaker? Once it's your turn. We're gonna get through the subcommittees and the appointments quickly. And actually, you know what? I'll get back. To do the elevator first and then. And we can. Good area. I've been seeing a lot of people. We will outside. It is looking real nice. Anthony has. I've been seeing a lot of those. 19 minutes. Nice silhouettes too coming through. I'm just saying.
Is she good?
I still think, well, I'm sure. But I like the, I also like long shot. Like I'm
Anybody say
40.
on average.
No, I didn't know that was. I didn't write the paper.
Oh. Let's just go. I like that. That's what that means. That's the way it's set up.
Well, me and Eric are gonna, we also gotta repair that door panel.
Mhm.
So we'll wrangle that this week.
Well, should be count now.
You can't go down?
Well, that's why I got them. I stick with it all will. It's prime. Yeah.
Am I still there?
The weather will take
I said I squeezed by 30.
No. Yes, water would be.
Vice.
Your chair.
Aaron, you wanna be chair of streets and law enforcement?
I want Donna to be charitable. I want to be vice chair. Is that okay with you, Donna?
I'll be,
I'm sorry, I missed.
Or you want chair of law, I'll be vice and you be.
Yeah.
I'll be chair of streets, you be vice?
Yeah.
For what? Water and.
Did we all get a sheet or am I?
Law enforcement?
It's on
Oh,
the agenda.
just on the agenda, yep, of course.
When I requested to be.
If not, I'll gladly go back. I'll be
So I'm chair of streets. Donna's vice. Donna's chair of law.
Yeah, we'll realize later. You guys might see no one.
You ever go look at those two and told you?
Donna's the chair on street.
No, fires.
Thanks.
I didn't go look at them recently, but I had seen them. Yeah, when I was out, actually, I saw them when I came here. So already they were little.
And then finance is Cal and Linda. And then what was water and sewer?
And, in the chair, you two.
On both?
Yes.
So, let's get started back up here again, at 7 o'clock. Since Anthony's got to run, he's in the airport waiting on his plane. Let's, get a hold of him here.
Finance.
Gal, could you pass me my water? I'm sorry, I forgot it.
Sorry, Terry.
Thank you.
Still spoke.
You there, Anthony?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, we bumped you up, since you're about ready to get on the plane. So right now, did you get a copy of the agenda?
Yes, I did.
Okay, great. So we're on 13A, approved pay application number 7, Broke Advantage LLC.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Linda makes the motion. Do I have a second? Jana seconds. Okay, any discussion?
Mhm.
So this is the pay app for change orders 6 and 7 combined.
Oh, okay.
So it's work that's been completed.
Right. And, you want to just go over real quick what they were for so everybody can hear?
Sure. So we had 3 total change orders so far. The change order 5, reason 1 through 4, just the background, were deducts from his contract. So we reduced his contract and paid for equipment directly. So that was 1 through 4. And then 5 was the first add. And that was to take out the trough that goes to the Battle Creek. And so that one he's still working on. So he didn't ask for that pay application yet. But he completed 6, which was the extra time and labor to build a detention basin out of sequence during the winter. So that's change order 6, and then change order 7 was to configure the manhole at the entrance of the lagoons, so that way he could split the flow into the three lagoons, and he completed that work. So 6 and 7 is what he's asking for payment on.
Okay, great. Thanks, Anthony. Do we have any further discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next one up, Engineer B, approve work authorization number 3, lagoon expansion design and new DANR permit in the amount of $7,500.
Yeah, so this is the surveying that was required to survey the trough and to survey the manhole at the entrance, and then to design the change. So we had to design the new outfall, replacing the trough. So from the treatment plant down to the Battle Creek, and then we had to design the manhole splitter that he built, which you just previously approved. So that's just to pay my surveyor for the work that they've already done, and for our bit of engineering design time.
I'd make the motion to approve.
I'll second that motion.
Janet makes the motion, Linda seconds. Is there any discussion on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, Engineer C, approved pay application number 3, Confer Construction LLC in the amount of $17,429.64.
Yep, so this is for the wastewater treatment plant. We hadn't been withholding any retainage, so just being consistent with the other contractor, we took the total amount he's completed to date, and we're holding 10% as retainage till the end. But he's at about 80% right now, so that gives him certain amount that needs to get paid, just to bring him up to where he's at.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Makes the motion and then the seconds. Do we have any discussion on the motion to approve? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Okay, that's it for engineer. Anthony, did you have anything else you wanted to let us know?
Nope, not at this time. Thanks for bumping me up. Yeah, I'm in Denver waiting to get on my flight to Rapids, so I'll be there tonight.
Safe flying.
Okay, thanks, Anthony.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
I thought he was part of the digging permit.
Oh, right.
I was trying to say, and he was trying to back me up.
So we need,
Yeah. Well, let's get to that one when we get to it.
we need to move, Elmer Craycombe up and get that done ASAP. Please?
Okay, would like to, we need to make a motion for that. We can just do it at chair's discretion, right? Okay, Elmer, would you like to come up, take your oath?
Yeah.
He's got it. He's got it out. Same kind of thing with Anthony.
You should have one too.
I, Elmer Claycombe, having been appointed to the office of floodplain administrator within and for the town of Hermosa in said county and state, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the state of South Dakota, and the ordinances of said town of Hermosa, and that I will faithfully and impartially, to the best of my knowledge and ability, perform all duties of my said office of floodplain administrator.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Elmer.
Thanks, Elmer.
Do we need to sign?
You'll need to find the one that Kent has. Elmer.
Thank you. All righty, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so
At all the
Let's jump up to the committees. So we had to go a little bit out of order on that one due to the time constraints of Mr. Elmer and Mr. Anthony. So we're back to the top with assignment of subcommittees. Thanks again, Elmer. So everybody's okay with it. You can go with me as chair and Linda vice chair of the water and sewer committees. I believe Aaron wanted to be chair and Donna vice chair of the streets committee.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, and did you guys decide something for the law enforcement committee?
I'm sure he's right.
yeah, she's got it in charge of that.
Okay. Donna's chair, Aaron's the vice. As it usually follows, the chair and vice chair are also the chair and vice chair of the finance committee. As far as media spokesperson goes, I can continue to do that if you all agree.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you very much. And so that leaves us with the abatement committee. Do you all have any ideas for that one?
I'd like to be in there someplace. I don't want to be chair at all.
Okay, I guess that means Donna's vice chair. Anyone want to be chair of abatements?
Well,
I think Linda should.
Did you say yeah?
I would do it if the board approves it. That's fine.
Okay. I'm okay with that. Okay, so I think that's good for the committees.
I think that I should be able to be on something.
Yes.
Okay, well,
I had requested law enforcement before, Laura would also be advised on abatements, so there's 3 of us.
Okay, you want to do a second advice on abatement?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's good.
are you okay with that, Shandra?
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
And then can be a backup for law enforcement if needed, if someone's not available. So I requested it. Yeah.
All right, we got Shannon as a backup on law enforcement and
Detective.
second advice on the abatement. Okay, very good. That brings us to the appointment and oath of office for Terry, the town finance officer.
Please raise your right hand and recite the oath to solemnly.
I, Terry Cornelison, having been hired to the position of finance officer within and for the town of Hermosa in said county and state, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the state of South Dakota, and the ordinances of the town of Hermosa, and that I will faithfully and impartially, to the best of my knowledge and ability, perform all duties of my said position of finance officer.
Congratulations.
Thank you. The original. This is yours, Ken.
Hey, Mr. Hague, you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay,
I can't, having been appointed to the office of town attorney within and for the town of Hermosa in said county and state, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the state of South Dakota, and the ordinances of said town of Hermosa, and that I will faithfully and impartially, to the best of my knowledge and ability, perform all duties of my said office of town attorney, so help me God. Thank you very much.
Yep, you sign one.
Actually, you signed that one?
Love the copy. I want to get the original, so you'll need to sign the original, Ken. Sorry.
Did
This
that
is just a copy, sorry. I gave the original to Al, so
so he gets the copy back. So it goes.
if you need it, you can.
Absolutely.
And then we need to look in minutes next time.
Yeah, I want to do this.
We also need to do the law enforcement.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Bottom there.
Under law enforcement. Oath of office.
Okay, so that brings us to planning and zoning A permit 25-14.
See it there.
Okay.
What? Anything?
Okay, anyone like to make any discussion or make a motion on this one? Aaron?
Still looks like all we have here is just a map. Did we get any more specific details on it?
It's already done.
It's already done.
Already done.
And looking at the other one, I mean, this is what was provided before.
There's no site plan. And Mark, and it's on parcel.
So what's already done on this one?
They had a sewer repair, right, Chuck? Linda Dean property.
Okay. Aaron?
So considering it does say sketch and or describe, we do need to at least get some very written down detail for the file of what actually happened.
Yeah, leave Mark next to the person.
Right, and then like, this is what we did, like.
Exactly.
I called her and she was not very nice to me, so she refused.
She called us
When
to.
I talked to Linda, she would not give me any information on doing.
Okay, well, I'll call her and see.
My conversation
Did she-
with her was, it was on Chuck's phone, but couldn't hear things right. I said, the reason why we're asking these questions is because it has been so down the road, if they need any information, all they have to do is put your file up. Did she,
What'd she say to that?
I thought, well, and then my engineer, I mean, my construction guy was in, and I said, I'm just telling them. And I said, if you have a problem with it, come to the town board meeting Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of
And
better,
to explain it to
Is on the sewer committee again?
you. Huh?
I,
me and Linda.
no.
Are you able to talk to her? I know she's been difficult in the past.
Mhm.
Knock
Calculating.
Yeah, I'll talk to
on
her.
the door. Ask her, you know,
She
if you
doesn't
can
live
write
over
down
that
what
long.
they did, you know.
She doesn't live with them.
You know,
Yeah, I mean,
I'll meet with her.
Let,
I don't know.
You know.
Asking her to write it down and submit it probably won't work, but if you have questions and you write it down, that would.
well, I would prefer that she writes it down, and if that becomes a problem, then we can send a letter and make a formal request then, because we've had kind of a rash of flip-in permits, I guess you could say, and I don't think we need to continue that, and I really think we need to hold people to account on making sure that they submit the plans along with their permits. I know, I believe we're still waiting to hear back from the Aggie lot permit on the narrative and the site plan. Is that true? Did you
Which
receive
one?
the lot up there that they're taking dirt off of? We're still waiting to,
I guess
You're back
I
on that.
wasn't part of that. I don't know.
because in
I
my
believe that
recollection,
pending. They were working with the engineer because they needed the extra dirt.
I wasn't here.
that it was a contingent permit upon submitting those two items.
mhm.
And so, I mean, do we need to issue a stop work order or something so that we can get said items?
Yeah, that's the normal.
Process.
Mhm.
Aaron?
When I talked to Anthony last about this, we have the volume of dirt being removed. If you want a drawing, I could do a drawing for the file. I was out there and I walked around with them and took pictures. So I can do that. So we have a drawing on file of, and I have photos of, I walked around with them and took photos of where we expect the dirt to lay out. So we can
include
confirm,
that.
and I can do that.
They're about done, aren't they?
No, there's kind of slow rolling. I think they're really just taking it as they need it.
Yeah.
So it's not a quick process. So that'll probably be ongoing for another few weeks.
But we do still need the narrative from Jerry. I mean, that was a big part of that discussion.
So to that end, it is, there's the contract between him and Baroque, and his deal with Baroque was that they take responsibility for all of that. So if we want that, we should talk to Baroque.
I think you have to have something in writing and signed by the owner of the property.
Which is that organ?
Well,
Well, whomever it is, it needs to be done.
I thought it was the.
Dan, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I'm the president of Hague right now, and this was all supposed to have been worked out. The city needed the dirt. We said they could take it from there. They had to cover everything, put it back the way it was. And the last report we had, everything was taken care
What do you mean by everything was taken care of?
of. Your town engineer was working with the contractor down there. We said they could have the dirt, but everything had to go back. They had to take care of permits and everything. We had nothing to do with it.
And you're the president of Aggie, correct?
Yep.
And so you represent, and Aggie's
is the owner of the lot then, right?
Right.
Okay, so
It's a
you're,
nonprofit organization,
right, okay. All right,
because the town needed dirt. So he said they could have it.
we understand, I mean, if we issue stop work on this, we'll be also impacting our.
Your problem down there, not ours.
Absolutely, sir, but the point that we're getting to is, we need to kind of make sure we have all the ducks in a row before the permit gets done and not run on, what a contractor and an engineer are gonna say is gonna happen.
They were supposed to work everything out with the city.
And we're not saying anything against you guys. I know your name came up, but just as an identifier of what we were talking about, not that we're holding you guys to account for anything, so.
Oh, so if you put a stop work order on here, just put a stop work order out there, you're stopping everything then. So if you're gonna put a work order out there, that means that they're gonna stall out there too. So it depends on how soon you guys wanna get your project done. It's not up to us.
I understand that, sir. Thank you. Dan?
Was there ever a motion to approve all of this as well as the permit in the formal meeting? No, I heard that there was traffic control, rest of the permit, amount of yards that were all gonna be put on.
It was contingent, it was approved on a contingency that those documents would be provided after the fact, after the approval of the permit, but not after the completion of the work. We still required the site plan and the narrative before the work started. And so, things are getting a little out of order on that one.
Thank you.
Something real quick.
Yeah, this is a particularly unusual case because it is the town that benefits the most from this. I would like to go ahead and I will, I don't know if you care for a motion, but I'll draw it up. I'll put my images together. I did take images all over the property. There are markings on the property and I'll go out there and get a detailed drawing of the movement of the perimeter of the dirt, because I can tell you where it is now and where they expect it to expand once it's lowered. I can do the drawings, no problem. And then I'll have Anthony look at them and make sure they cover us and we can throw it in the file.
That's what we need is Anthony's also.
Yeah, so I'll just do it so that he doesn't have to do it. I'll do it and then he
As
can.
long as he signs off on it, okay, is it correct? Yes.
Okay, well, you wanna, just, I guess, bring that to Terry when you have it done, and then Terry, if you can scan and email that to me, I appreciate that.
I could probably just grab a screenshot out of Silversmith and just do an overlay of where the edge is now and where they expect the edge to be once it's done.
Yes, sir.
Posts in the ground and everything and mark it out.
Has Linda been already paid for this permit?
Yeah.
So do we need a motion to send her a letter to request further information for our file?
I could do it informally at first, I think,
Okay.
and try to get the information that way, and if necessary, I think we can
Then
move
we'll
along
be
the
it.
process.
So we want to leave this pending for now?
Yes, ma'am, I believe that's,
Motion to table it or whatever?
and make the motion to table, I'll recognize that motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Aaron seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those, Dan?
On Linda Jean's Hill now, was that a repair on the main? Was that a repair on the service line? And if it was done where it was a main, was an inspection, and if it was, and there wasn't a permit approved, then Public Works should have put stop work order on immediately and stop that from going forward if it was a main inspection or what took place.
Right, Chuck?
It was an emergency repair on service line. The guy come in and got necessary permits and proof of insurance, and that's what they called in a locate, and that was done. So everything was in order.
Okay,
Other than the
review that.
Information.
site narrative.
Information on the sheet.
Okay, moving right along to law enforcement, oath of office for our new part-time town marshal, Mr. Eric Alias.
Come up. Sir. You gonna administer the
No.
oath here?
Okay.
Can't do it?
Can't.
Yes.
Okay. You got it, shield? Good to go?
Absolutely. Well, good night.
You'll raise your right hand, please. Yeah, please.
I, Eric Davis, have been appointed to the office of the part-time town marshal within and for the town of Hermosa. In said county, state, do solemnly swear that I support the Constitution of the United States. Yeah. And the Constitution of the United States of Constitution of the State of South Dakota and the ordinance of said town of Hermosa. And that I will faithfully and impartially, to the best of my knowledge and ability, perform the duties of my said office of part-time town marshal. Congratulations.
We all do the first time.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's the copy, there's the original there. Yeah, welcome aboard, sir.
Yeah.
Would you like to introduce your family?
Oh, yeah. My wife, my two boys, Leah Smith, alias, Corey, and Eric.
Welcome to town.
Okay, very good. Thank you, sir. All righty.
I'm just on the phone.
That's the county. It's all.
You can keep it if you want it or
Yeah.
throw it out.
Awesome. All righty, very good. Welcome to town, Eric.
Yes.
All right, moving right along to Public Works. Aaron?
Just quick, just wanted to say, now that, Mr. Alias is here, we will be looking at scheduling a very public meet and greet. So he can, get to know any citizens in town. I don't know how you feel about, I don't know where you're going to that community center again, like we did for the,
Yeah, I would say the community center would be a
we can talk to,
good plan for that.
yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so, did the law enforcement committee want to set that up?
Sure.
All righty.
We've got some budget kicking around, and last time we let us do it for $50.
Maybe. Okay, well, yes, sir.
Maybe I'd like to inform Marshall, alias is that whenever you can, charge out the ticket or offense under town ordinance. That way we'll get the proceeds instead of the county or the state.
Yeah, I was looking at the, where the jurisdiction is, and I know not to do it on the road, so I'll go to the state, not us, so I'll keep it within.
Thank you.
Understood.
Okay, very good. Any further comments for our new marshal? Okay, very good. Moving right along, to Public Works, street light repairs and water and sewer department updates. So do we have a streets update here?
I spoke with Mark again from Dakota Asphalt. I had a little bit of misunderstanding, partly because of how low the quote is, but that $6,700 quote for North Second includes fully reshaping the shoulder. So we don't have to do any prep work there. So it's not on here, but, yeah, I would definitely want to, I'll put that on the next meeting to get rolling with that. And Donna mentioned that she had got some, well, we've got some feedback right in the office from the work that Dakota Asphalt does. If you'd like to give us some customer feedback on their performance.
Good job on ours. It used to be with Simon, but Simon doesn't want to do small jobs anymore. They want highways with miles. So they broke off and do their own, and they did mine. They put down 2.5, press it to do another 2.5, press it to 2. I've had trucks on them. I didn't have a problem.
Is that your driveway?
Yeah.
Okay, very nice.
And they're coming out in about a month with a sealer on it. So they recommend putting a top coat off within a year.
Okay,
To help hold everything together better.
oh, nice, thanks, Dan.
And another point while I was talking to him, so on the topic of sealing, they have a fog seal that they do once they lay that down. So it'll be sealed like fresh asphalt, but it'll be recycled.
Also, I talked to Travis Hartshorn about approaching the school district about cost sharing. And he said he'd put it on their agenda. He would try to get it on the agenda for the next meeting. I think it's on the 14th of July, if I say that. But also, he said he would try to talk to, of course, new president's coming in, but he would try to talk to the old president before he went out. He said he would let me know and get back to him.
Okay. Great, thanks, Donna.
Yeah.
Any further comments on streets?
The request for the, speed bumps down on Ferguson Street is gonna be, held off until when Baroque is finished, so that they're done and out of the way. And I believe they're gonna be doing a little more work on that road when they are done. I hope.
Fairgrounds?
Fairgrounds Place.
Okay,
And so then we'll do it at that point.
okay, great.
Okay.
Eric?
And just one final thing, again, when I talked to Mark, he's in work on a quote for the additional sections of Road Ferguson and North Second, so I'm just waiting to hear back from him on that, but they're more than happy to help us out with all that work.
Okay, very good, thank you. Alrighty, so moving along to streetlight repairs and water and sewer updates. That is you, Chuck.
I don't think there's anything on the street light repairs, we've had, one or two that were bothersome and they got those fixed. Kind of touching on the road just a little bit, Rob and Anthony and myself have discussed Fairgrounds Place Road. A lot of that damage was done by trucks hauling in and out, and they're not completely done there yet, so I think there's some humongous holes that have filled up in that. And, we kind of talked about a three-way deal there to get that road back into shape, and which wouldn't have anything to do with the general condition of the streets. We totally set the deal. So, the water, consumption was up quite a bit when we had those 3 days, 100 degrees. The lawns went downhill big time and the weeds took over. And, everything seems to be rolling along okay on the water side of it. Kind of settled back down after we got those rains and one thing and another, so. Sewer, actually I was down there at 4 o'clock today and, we started pumping, on C, crossed over into detention. At 4 o'clock today, they did get, the expansion of Pond A completed enough that we can just open the valve now between A and new construction A as of 4 o'clock, so that will take the tension off of the pumping and the fuel and all the business going on there, so looks like they're short riprap. But they did the lower half and got that up, halfway so that we can actually discharge into that. And then they can put the riprap on the upper side of it as they go along with it. The way they're doing it now, they got one excavator in the bottom and one on top. And the one on top feeds the one down below and he's smooth and doing the thing. So that as of 4 o'clock, that got ripped all the way around to a height that we could use it. So making good progress all the way around. If there's any questions, probably answer some of them.
So are we going from C to, or from A to B north right now? Did you guys open the valve so we can drain from C to there, or sorry, from A to there? That's what you're talking about, right?
Well, actually, what happened there, they expanded A and expanded C. So the dike that was between those two has actually been removed. So that expanded A further to the east into a separate pond, and the same way with C. That got expanded to the east, and then there's a huge retention pond. I would encourage anybody with any curiosity at all to go look at this. It's quite an undertaking. There's lots and lots and lots of dirt that was moved. 35, 40,000 yards. I mean, it's a small factola.
Right.
So consequently, you know, the seeding and stuff, luckily we're going into the summer months, so the riprap and seeding and that stuff will follow. We've been short of dirt. This deal up here, completely different type of soil. They're using that mostly as fill. And one of the concerns I had, taking it down another 2 feet, future construction, would that building be able to get on the sewer that's in 4th Street? And after further inspection, it does appear that they still have some freeboard there to be able to still get hooked up. I think that's pretty much both of the work orders we've been right on along the way. One of the things that I might point out, it doesn't matter what it is, the town has kind of priority over what goes on, so on my particular project, I'd like to bring that up, is that I don't believe there was an actual deadline set, other than if it wasn't completed by the following regular meeting, which is this one, then we would discuss it again. So consequently, the tapping saddles and that stuff have all been pre-made in my shop, and locates have been done. There's been some potholing and stuff where we've had fiber, stuff like that, that it has to be exposed. There will be 24-hour notice on those that will be out of water while the connection is being made. And that hopefully is going to be Wednesday, Thursday of this week. Once that's done and we're across the road, then we're really not affecting anybody. That's going to be open sailing on the right of way to go to Whitney Street.
Right, and just, I think as an aside, I also remember that building permit for the lot down there was also contingent upon the water and sewer being taken to the lot edge. Is that your recollection as well?
He has a digging permit. He's quite a ways out on, he's doing a slab on grade, which I guess I didn't look at the permit that close, but and I informed him that he needed post holes and everything, or caissons. He was not aware of that. And so he was doing those today, putting those into place. And I said, well, you need to read your permit, because you also have 5 inspections that need to be done along the way here. So I actually have done one. And, he's quite a way. Yeah, I mean, he's moving along doing it himself, you know, paying it, so that's kind of where that's at. Any questions?
Was it the digging permit or the building permit that we
He
made?
had a building permit, but he also had obtained a digging permit to prepare the dirt. We discussed the water and sewer, stub house, which would be done. So in the future, when that stuff is brought in, that it can, it's the way we done all of them over, Walnut Grove and those.
Yeah.
Sleeving was done, so it didn't hold up the, actual construction.
All right, well, we'll have to look at that one too. We just need to get all the permits really, I think, done well with the documentation and everything. I mean, I know that one there was a interesting story, you know, but I think going forward, we just really need to be focused on getting all of our ducks in a row for all of the various aspects of the project, and that they are all submitted ahead of time with the permits so that our engineer can go over them and
Anthony actually had planned to come today and look, and he's not,
right.
not in town, of course. And one of the things too, when we got full with the lagoon, and kind of distracting my time following up on that, that had a little more precedence and going on over here. So
Yes, sir.
trying to get that fire put out in the next day or two and go from there.
Okay, Donna.
I would just like to say, has anybody noticed the eyesore down there on Whitney Street is gone? The old schoolhouse is gone.
Oh.
Makes us happy.
Well, there you go.
So sure after we go, you know, everybody's calling, well, is that schoolhouse for sale? I think it's called 10 years ago.
It's amazing the amount of people that wanted to buy that building, you know, 2 years, it already was gone, but it wasn't gone.
Yeah.
And they're still calling about it.
Yes, sir.
History.
Okay, so Dan, did you have a comment? And then also we're on to the streets contract work as well.
Yes, thank you. Just wondering if them pylons were on the building permit originally, and if the gentleman was during them, once again, stop work orders usually should come into play, but in any event, that may be something to make sure the accuracy on that, and then when this work is started, and then who's going to be inspecting Mr. Ferguson's work down here to do that when that work's being done.
Yes, sir. Those are all great questions, and we'll be speaking with Anthony and reviewing the permit to make sure that those are taken care of.
Standard procedure when you do slabs or garage floors that cased on, go underneath them, and 8 foot on center.
Very good. All right, on to the contract streets. That you
And I'll be getting upper fit on that. I don't know if Aaron ever got any satisfaction on the road project out there for saving any of our millings or not, or if they just disappeared into the empty lot.
I couldn't find the guys when I went up there, and then I got sick. So
That's the DOT guy was down doing the inspections with all of them all the time for 4 or 5 days in a row, but I see they disappeared. And then from there, I'll be working into the other items, and as I need some, I will bring it to your attention.
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is any further comment or questions on Public Works?
I think that's it. I think I'm keeping an eye on the lagoon operations going on day by day now. That takes up quite a little time. You know, it has for months and months and months. The treatment plant is, also been kind of on hold. I think they're coming back in the next couple of days to start on it again. Did get the floor poured and down, putting the siding on and that stuff. And we'll see, get that closed up and then, we'll be able to disperse some of the water. We're having quite a little discussion with the Nagamowers. They feel that the water belongs to them and has since 1961. But, one of the issues that's come into play that the neighbors have kind of put a kibosh to land application. Well, we've known that for quite some time.
Yeah, right. I mean,
So if you go through the treatment plant in the Battle Creek, if they want to or something like that.
right, and to your point, I believe the issues with the DNR where we cannot at all anymore upland apply within a quarter mile of the residence.
I think that was part of the negotiations when everything came down, that there would not be any land application.
Right.
Permits for putting it into Battle Creek, and those permits have been gotten. So they are in place at this point.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Doug. Linda?
And I believe that the state is making it tougher yet to land apply than it was before. And so, we'll have to show those new laws to the Nagamowers so that they understand it clearly. And make it way easier.
I think the boys do understand it's an older regime that we're so convincing.
Well, I think they can read if we get them a copy of the law. So.
Already.
I didn't mean that the way I guess it sounded, sorry. The other thing that I wanted to bring up under, Public Works is the meter readings. And, I had written on that, those that I thought needed to be mowed or trimmed that were bad.
Yep.
You've got a list of that, and, do we just have a list now, or have they been called to give them a heads up?
Please let a list. Would you prefer a letter or something on your bill?
I think that, I guess the board should discuss this, but I think that with the change in how things are being handled a little bit and the issues from last year, that maybe a phone call to these people, a quick phone call to tell them, would be a good thing to do to get this process rolling again. Anybody agree, disagree, any other thoughts?
How many are there?
I think there were 5 or 7 or, it wasn't too many.
I would say that, I know we have a form letter that we mail out, but I've seen a lot that by the time you fill in the name and address, take to the post office, takes 2 days, whatever for them. Over a weekend, they probably already took care of it.
It's very possible.
So
And-
it could be where a phone call might be a lot easier.
Got it.
Time saving. But I don't know if we need that in our nuisance ordinance of, like initial courtesy phone call.
Well, I think that when we get this back on the go again, because it's been kind of nothing's been done for several months. I think people will get used to it again. I think maybe we need to, maybe even hand deliver, a copy of how we're handling things now. And I guess I would comment there, maybe our law enforcement officer would be willing to hand deliver those, and then he could shake the hands and meet all the people in town. just a thought process, so you all can think about that too, but,
You don't want the first contact to be a.
well,
That's kind of where.
that is true. Yeah,
Nice to
maybe
meet
so.
you, mow your yard.
No, no, new ordinance, not mow your yard, but yeah.
All right, Aaron.
I like Janice's mention of a courtesy call while we're working on the ordinance. Should we make it so that the first notice can be via telephone or
I think it should be added in there.
so we can just,
Our notice.
This is for mowing, right?
yeah, or like the nuisance stuff that's not, or the cosmetic
More stuff.
stuff that's not like,
Well, we were given a courtesy
Demolition.
call for abatement a couple of years ago, and people appreciated that, and they took care of their
you know,
issue.
there's nothing nice like friendly
Problem
voice.
child down here has been mowing. Child out there's been mowing.
Yeah.
Add that to the edits of that nuisance, and
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea then.
That's a good idea.
That and the fact that, today's Tuesday and the meters were read on Sunday. So, I mean, 2 days have passed and by the time tomorrow comes, it'll be 3 days that'll be passed. And it would just be easier, I believe, for the office staff if somebody would take that list and go say, okay, this guy did take care of his, don't bother, and, because we don't want the office staff to get yelled and screamed at either, I mean, we don't want them, putting them in a bad situation, so.
Would that be, something the abatement committee should do?
I would say so, yes.
Okay.
And seeing as how I was the first one to make the notes, I would prefer not to be the second one, the one checking up on it. Yep.
All right, very good. Donna will check up on that for us.
Yes, I'll try to do that tomorrow even.
Oh, wonderful. Thanks, Donna.
So then following your recheck, then whatever still needs mowed can be dealt with by a phone call first. Courtesy call. Very good.
Okay, sounds good. So moving right along to finance. That is you, Terry.
We have the bank statements, reconciliations in the package. There's also the financial reports. I'm gonna be through the page.
Budget meetings in August. I don't understand what that last column is, unexpended. I mean, I see the total on the budget report, what you budgeted, the to-date balance, the year-to-date balance, the percentage of what we spent.
So it's the total budget left for year-to-date balance. So that's what's left in the budget.
Oh, so
So-
like remaining.
Yeah, so like I'm looking at the lagoon or the sewer fund that needs, we have gotten some of our grant money in, so those we can do an auto supplement. And so I need to get those ready. And I know with the engineers too, I've also got some of that money back too, if I can do an auto supplement with that as well.
Okay. So do you have any, department updates?
I did go to finance officer school 2 weeks ago and budget training last week, and they were both very beneficial. Got a lot of good information, so. I
Got a
appreciate it.
good freebie.
Not really.
No prizes or anything.
There, didn't have as many vendors there. The conferences where they always have all the huge vendors and you get all kinds of stuff, but it was good, and it's good to catch up with some of the other finance officers, so.
There's something we wanted to ask them, but I don't remember what it was. I remember saying, Terry, ask the other. It's all just while you're there.
I'll go back and look at my notes.
Part of it had to do with the finance officer that did not attend. You were gonna ask Hill City
Oh,
about,
now we can look at what roads that Dakota.
Yeah.
had on it, and she wasn't at the. She wasn't at the budget training. 'Cause I was gonna ask her about that, so.
Well, I'm glad they were both beneficial for you.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Only other thing, I do have one more thing under my, so we did talk about these lights, and I did get a quote from Reimer Electric on swapping these all out to LEDs like I have in my office. So he gave me a quote, there's 11 fixtures left to be replaced. And it'd be $1,050 to do that. Otherwise, if you want to do just one or two at a time, there would be $130 a piece. So that would, if you did those, that'd be $1,430. $1,050 to do all 11 of them, or otherwise, if we do them individually, it'd be $1,430.
Didn't have it in the budget somewhere on the for
Yeah,
building
David's-
repairs and maintenance. Yeah, you got 1725 in there.
And I have, yeah, so I think we have it.
I made a motion that we approve getting the lights replaced all at one time.
okay, I'm gonna make some motion. I recognize that motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Aaron seconds the motion. Any discussion on the motion to approve the quote for replacing the lights in the town office with LED?
My only other comment would be to maybe split the actual supply cost from the service costs, and you'll have it covered between those two accounts. You have enough there.
Yep.
Not quite enough in one, but.
Yeah.
Are we also
Think that
gonna get a break on the taxes for the hardware? Did you talk to them about that?
What do you mean?
You know, when they buy the hardware, are they gonna get charged sales tax or?
No, we don't get charged. We have to get that 2% excise tax.
Okay.
I was looking at the one, I pulled the bill from when he did the ones in my office. Yeah, it was, we got a 2%. Well, he didn't, it was 0, so he didn't charge me anything for the ones he did in my office.
Okay,
That's any tax.
all right, that's all I got. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Did you say?
I did. Yep, just read exactly when Aaron said it, and he was louder.
Sorry. All right, very good. Okay, thank you, Terry. On to new business, Pop Grocery Store questions on fees for off sale with your license application. Bill, would you like to come present? Oh, here we go.
I'll just talk about a couple things before we get into the PowerPoint. I do have an interest in providing an additional service for our community. A couple of things that I'm not really asking for any specific action tonight, just more so the ability to get clarification as the ordinance. You have several different licenses with several different fees and stipulations. Based on the current, what it says on the ordinance, it says there's an annual fee of $250, $350 per month fee. And then it just says 5% of sales. It doesn't say gross sales, it doesn't say net sales, it doesn't say inventory, anything like that. I understand restaurant is different, you know, other entities are different. In my presentation, I based my numbers on the least amount, so it would be 5% of the profits or the net sales. If it is not that, if it is of gross sales, then the numbers in my presentation would significantly increase. So.
And say we've never had a off sale like a liquor store. So this would be all new to
You have one up at.
We have one up at
Corner pantry.
In the quick
They
shop.
sell liquor too.
They have an off sale in the.
It's a very small selection, and I've had a lot of community members ask me to incorporate it into my store so that they can have their margaritas or
Right.
what have you.
Didn't really.
Very close.
Alcohol out there. I thought it was just beer.
It's a very small cabinet, I guess.
So does that require an operating agreement?
According to our ordinance, I mean, it's in there. Yeah. And they pay, MD Oil pays $350 a month and 5%. for the sales, for the off sale as well.
So I just wanted to put out, kind of show some of the benefits and some of the drawbacks to the current situation. And how it affects both, small businesses and the town of Hermosa. So if you want to move on to the next slide. At that current rate, just for an average $20 item, if you had a 20% markup, makes that retail price of that item $24. Subtract 5% for the town fees, that leaves the business 15% revenue from which to pay the monthly fee of $350, okay? In order to achieve, be able to pay those fees, I would have to move through my store $2,335 in product before I even would make a penny. That's a considerable amount for a store that is only limited hours till 7 p.m. You want to go on to the next slide, please. If you continue with those figures, that equates to, things are going to change based on applicants, but that would be about 98 items would have to be sold. 98 bottles or 98, whatever, with that kind of an average. At that current rate, that's $28,020 per year that would go through the business's hands without earning a penny for it. Just to pay the fees of that current off-sale license. That's pretty significant. The town also does receive, your sales tax and your B&B revenue from that license. The off-sale license has been, pardon the expression, but sitting on the shelf collecting dust for many years, not creating any revenue for the town. And I believe the state is issuing the town a second off-sale license come July.
Second.
So,
Well, you got to be
Yeah, it could be a
third. Two.
I have a malt beverage and farm wine, but I can't sell carbless, Surfside, a lot of those 6-pack type items because they are vodka based, tequila based. You have to have liquor license in order to sell a lot of those items. You can move on, Aaron, if you'd like. So the drawbacks, obviously, as I said, it's on the shelf. Current rates are not small business friendly. Community has limited options to purchase these items currently. Also, that revenue stream, I forgot to put this on here. People are driving around the city and buying this stuff when that revenue could be coming up in this community. So next, please. Options available, we could do nothing and lose out on a revenue source for the town, potentially create some type of variance to the existing ordinance or for certain types of small businesses. Adjust the town ordinance, review it to make it more business friendly. One of my suggestions was keep your annual fee that you already have listed of $250. And then collect the 5% sales plus your sales tax plus your 1% fee. It's just an option that I was throwing out for you. Not a specific request.
Bill, do you have any graphs or tables or anything that kind of show the scenario that you just described?
I don't have like a pie graph or anything put together tonight, but I can certainly make you one.
Yeah, the one that shows, so thought you guys did a good job on illustrating the amount of money that would have to come through and the number of items that you guys would have to sell at that average price in order to break even on the fees. And so if you could put it in terms of, how much the sales tax is generated when that happens. So
what your revenue source would be based on if I was able to sell stuff, is that kind of a guesstimate?
yes, sir. So for instance, we would be getting the 5% sales anyways, depending on if it's the net or gross, right? But regardless,
but that's a significant difference between the gross and the net, and that's what I was looking for clarification on.
Okay, well,
because that's not written anywhere that I could find.
Right. I guess what I'm asking for is if you could present us with numbers on the different scenarios that you can foresee, such as the annual fee only without the monthly fee, and then
if you had, I don't even know, you probably don't even know like what a projected amount of sales would be, right?
It's all brand new.
Right.
It's really, that's what's concerning is every month I would have to, at this rate, every month I'd have to sell 98 items before I even make a penny. You know, that's a consider, and I'm not sure that that's, I would like to have the service for our community, but I'm not sure we want to turn it into party town. You know what I'm saying? But that's a considerable amount, just for the speed.
So if I hear you correctly, in order for you to make this worthwhile for you, at the bare minimum, you'd have to push roughly 100 items through there a month, right?
That wouldn't even make my worthwhile. I would literally break even.
Well, that's what I'm saying, the absolute bare minimum. But so basically what this fee is it's gonna determine the number of sales that you're required to do in order to have this license. Thusly, we're essentially saying that we're going to guarantee that, that number of sales.
Which I can't guarantee.
But that's what I'm saying, that it's like saying, if you have a regulation for the number of contaminants in a grain bin, you're essentially guaranteeing that that level is gonna always be there. So if the board decides to go with the 350 a month, you have to sell at the minimum 100 to break even. Thusly, the town may turn into a party town, right? So what I'm saying is the monthly fee determines what is feasible for him, but it also basically will set the level at which the town is likely to get to, over time. So
It's not, I mean, there's so many variables there. Right. You can't just go off of that.
But you're not gonna sell less than 100.
But if I don't take the license, you're not getting any.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a complete zero source of revenue for the town.
Right.
Go ahead.
I'd like to see the chart as well, if you could compare, like you said, what moving the 98 units per month versus, let's say, the operating agreement instead of 350 and, do a scenario, 200 a month or 100 a month or 50, like, let's see the scale of how much you have to move at each one. And then we're gonna have to take this to a work session and see if, what can be done and how we want to work the ordinance, because we surely can't have set a precedent where you're allowed a lower one and the convenience store that also sells food has to pay the higher one. So how that's going to be regulated or switched is what we need to do. If you can do your work and bring it to us, then I think that would help.
They are completely two different complete entities. It's a large corporation out of Rapid City.
Right, but not looking at ownership, what is fair within the boundaries.
Of the particular license, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we could see your different
Now,
scenarios.
in order for me to make those graphs, though, I need to have clarification on what is that 5% of? Is that gross? Is that net? Is that?
The 5% is
Purchase.
of what you purchased.
Not what you sell.
Restaurant ones and for the on-sale ones, because that's the only way you can measure that based on what they purchased is off of their invoices. It doesn't say that for the off-sale.
It's 5% of what you purchase.
Dan, did you have any clarification on that?
Okay, so now he said that a bottle of whiskey that it cost him 20, he would sell it for 24. So he would make $4 on it. But if you take that same bottle of whiskey and go to Trail Fest and probably make 150 off.
Correct.
So there's a big difference in there. So, you got to kind of separate, they're on off sale. He's strictly off sale. And I haven't there to open that bottle of whiskey and drink it.
And if I could get to my next slide, some of that would be explained, but benefits adjusting the rates, it would be friendly, small business friendly. Creates another revenue source for the town. you have a place that's selling it for people to utilize, but it's not until midnight or 2 a.m. Nothing good ever happens after 10 p.m., I guess, but, and it gives people more options for retail purchases and keeps the tax revenues local versus allowing that revenue to go to other entities, which I think we've already covered, but, next slide. Let's see if I can. Okay, yeah, so that was the end of that, but.
Good
I
presentation.
just wanted you guys to realize in real time, black and white numbers, how that affects business.
We don't want to lose those
And
sales.
see if there's anything that we can do to work together to make it reasonable. That's all I'm at. And it's not that I don't want the town to make money. It's not that I don't want to make, it's just what's reasonable and, improve. But
So what would your hours be?
my hours haven't changed.
Huh?
My hours haven't changed.
No, I mean, if you got this liquor, would you be open later?
No.
Which is good.
They could change, but I have no intentions of I'm running myself into the ground as it is.
Yeah.
So trying to extend my hours and be there longer hours right now, I don't foresee that being an option at this point.
Okay, Shelley?
When we had Trails West, it went the 5% off of our invoice, not, of what we profited or whatever.
So that's two significantly different numbers, which then would increase what I just presented to you, probably between, instead of 2,300 a month, it would probably end up being closer to $4,000 a month. Which is even a higher fee or higher penalty or
How
whatever.
is that higher?
Yeah.
How's that
Still
higher?
purchasing. And it's
This-
not what you sell, it's what you
This
purchase.
was based off of the, you
5%
have it
of-
$20 and you mark it up 20%, okay? That's $4. 5% of that you get that 20% markup, you reduce it by 5%, now I'm left at 15%. So you're only talking about the $4 versus if it's on the entire wholesale purchase, that's a significant amount more. If you're basing the 5% on.
All added together,
full
for all the
20,
bottles that you purchase should do the same amount when you sell them.
You're talking two different numbers. You can twist the numbers any way you want to make it work, but.
I think we better.
Your wholesale price is $20. If you are an on-sale establishment or a restaurant, you're paying the 5% on that $20. Based on what I was seeing in the ordinance, I figured it out at 5% of the net profit. Okay, it says of the sales. Okay, so that's actually less.
It should say 5%.
Which is, it just says 5% of sales is what it says. It is very, very vague, and that's what I'm trying to say is there's probably about 4 different scenarios that could equate to.
Right.
Well, I think this is a great topic and one that we should cover in a work session. So, you all think about doing a work session next week?
No.
Will and Dawn?
I cannot do Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. It'd have to be Thursday. Holiday.
Shannon, but if I said you took 5% of net profit versus 5% of gross profit, would that make sense?
No, because I guess I'm thinking
Social.
one bottle versus a 6-pack versus a 12-pack, 24-pack. It's still, I don't know. It's the 5% of what you're purchasing from the distributor. It's not about your markup, because you can mark up as high as you want.
Right.
I can't though, because I'm
It's more convenient than going to Rapid, so you could increase it a little bit from what Rapid does. That's your business and how you choose to do it. We just base it on the 5% of your distributor's invoice of what you purchased.
That's for the on sale and for the restaurant. It doesn't say
It's
that.
also our off sale though. The
If you can
convenience store
provide
up
that
there
to me in
also.
writing, I'd really appreciate that.
All right, let's just
let's
Well, they
just
do,
move
don't
on.
they?
It's okay, we'll cover this in the work
Yep.
session, but let's get that.
That's why I'm asking, because it's not anywhere, right?
That's an honest question, and yeah, I think the convenience store pays 5% on their purchases that are off sale, that go out the door. Not, they also have an on sale and they have the bar, but their off sale is still 5% and their invoices.
Yeah.
What are you thinking, next Tuesday night?
Well,
2 o'clock in the afternoon, so we can get it over.
It just says 5%.
Tuesday is gonna be July 1st, right?
Right.
That's not what it says on.
I have to talk to you on the website.
I took it right out your ordinance. Your ordinance just says sales. It doesn't say
It'll
it.
be like early day for next week.
It's Tuesday.
I think so.
But check, I mean, if that's what you have to have.
Tuesday, yeah, I can't do it Wednesday.
So I will put together, when do you want your graph?
When do you want the graph?
We're thinking next Tuesday.
Our work sessions,
Mhm.
right?
And then you can attend that as well.
Changed because of the
Those
holidays.
numbers based off of what she just gave me are gonna go up significantly.
Okay. All right, can you all, do the work session on the 1st?
What time? 4 o'clock.
We gotta do it at 5. Next Tuesday at 5.
Whatever y'all want.
I don't want to miss another meeting, but
I can't do it Wednesday. Check one other.
Tuesday on 5, so I'll just.
I'll just.
this doesn't have her return lane. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's from the February, because that's usually what they do.
Return Monday, June 30th. But I have to go back to the airport on June 30th. And it doesn't show me the time. So I
Thanks for coming, Mark.
Anyways, hey Phil, thanks for doing that presentation. And it looks like we're gonna have the work session on Tuesday the 1st at 5 p.m.
Okay.
So, if you're unable to attend, if you can email me the
Thank you, aliases, for coming.
provide those, or if you want to email them to Terry as well. Just copy me on that.
Before next Tuesday.
Yes, sir, if you have them, if not,
I can put it together.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great, yeah.
On a draft chart or pie chart, or does it matter?
I don't know if it matters if we have a chart. I mean, if we have the numbers, we could make charts too and stuff if we need to.
Okay. Based on different weekly, or based on different monthly fees.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Like, so for instance, the one that you're recommending, or the one that you brought up as a scenario, was the $250 annual fee only, and then the 5% sales.
Yeah.
And then if you want to run through the scenarios of, I mean, did you guys come to a resolution on the type of sale that it was?
Yeah,
It's fun.
It is based on what the information she just gave me. It's based on the invoices from your supplier.
Okay.
So which will increase those numbers, like instead of being 2,400 a month, it's gonna be, like I said, probably $4,000 a month.
Okay, all righty.
Before I was even, to get to the break even.
Right, and that's with the 250 or the 350 a month charge, right?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if you just want to drop those scenarios and then what you'd like to see, I guess, as well. And then we can
I'll just give you options. I mean,
yes, sir.
Obviously, if you, my initial recommendation was the 250 annual fee with the 5%, plus you get the 2% sales tax, plus you get, it's significantly better than getting nothing. Yes, in my opinion. But I'll put together, I'll give you all the different levels, so you guys can look at it and see what's reasonable.
Yes, sir. All righty, well, I appreciate that.
Yep.
Thank you, Phil.
Okay, then on to the one that I think most people are here for. Is the new business fee resolution 06-2025, resolution establishing the Hermosa Economic Development Committee. So Aaron, I think that is your baby, so if you'd like
My
to begin
baby.
discussion. Yes, sir.
Should I go ahead with a full reading of it, Mr. President?
I mean, if you'd like to introduce it at first and then maybe we could get some input from the crowd and then if we need to, we can do the reading.
Sure. So I think you kind of said it actually best at the work session in a short moment. Hermosa's open for business is a message that would be really nice to send out there. Hermosa Area Growth and Development has been on their feet for 3 years-ish now. Hermosa Connects, 2 years. They've been out there and they've been doing work and they've been building a community. And the time has come for the town to have an official interface with businesses. And we already had just a moment ago another presentation from business needing information and needing help. This is exactly the kind of committee that somebody should be able to go through to get all this information so that they can work, not necessarily in a big board meeting, but have somebody on call to an extent to get with them and help them work things. Beyond that is working with the state and their economic development part of the governor's office because they have all sorts of resources they'd like to help us access. The big thing is establishing a focal collection point for information and resources that the businesses can bring to us and that we can send out to them. So that when somebody comes to town wanting to start a business, they have somebody that may have a piece of land already out there looking for somebody to build a business. This committee could keep track of those sorts of things, be like, all right, well, these people have land they're thinking about selling commercially, and well, here's this business that wants to build a business commercially. Pretty much just broad spectrum ambassador style relationship between the town and the businesses and the nonprofit organizations that have already been implemented and are functioning and doing things in the community, like helping us get dirt that we needed, that we probably wouldn't have got elsewhere. So the way I would like to establish it is to run very much like a normal meeting, regular scheduled meetings, open to the public, not necessarily a voting board, but just to make sure that everybody knows this is an open door committee. This is come in, talk to us about your business, talk to us about what you want to do. In most municipalities, any municipality that doesn't have an official organization set up, pretty much all the responsibilities this committee would cover would fall to the finance office. This essentially spreads it out a little bit and sets a certain sort of compartmentalization of when that can take place. So I guess I don't know if anybody has any questions
I just
specifically.
have a little comment. We have 2 or 3 little businesses out over the hot days, some lemonade stands. It's kind of cute. They sit out there with their lemonade and sell it. So I know of 2 of them, so hope you guys patronize them when you see them.
So, I mean, you brought that up during the discussion of the economic development.
Yeah, so as an economic.
Well, if these kids want to help have some guidance on, where they need to go to form an LLC, they've got a committee they can go to. If they want some guidance on marketing, how to build that strategy and get their social media empire built,
All right.
Yeah.
Does anyone from the board have any questions or comments?
I have several.
Oh, Shannon?
Is this the service that y'all already provide in your?
We're working right now with Custer to bring 2 ambulances into town. They're working on grants, the county and the city.
Well, not as much as you're doing, but like he said, if someone comes in and wants to start a LLC, you have someone there to help them take the steps to do that.
Yeah.
And are you in the same group with Belina? Because I had heard one split off, like video was doing more district or rural area.
Right, Hermosa Connects was the original one. Hermosa Area Growth and Development came later.
Okay.
It became more of an economic development type of organization, where Hermosa Connects more like a chamber of commerce organization. And so those are kind of how those operate. And so anyway, Dan and I are on both. So, yeah, we're both familiar with both of them. Our organization isn't restricted within the town limits. So that's one significant difference where, we can provide and resource outside
Right.
in the whole. And we kind of concentrate on the 7744, it's our focal point.
I heard that from Leo too. I guess my question is, having lived here long enough that, history has shown that, when we finally get a group other than the Hermosa Town Board, a group gets together to do something positive for the town. If the town comes in and decides that they're gonna do it too, it just kind of steps all over them and trashes what they're trying to do, and the board takes over on it. And I don't feel that that's.
That's why you have to work together between.
Exactly.
But,
And how do you guys feel about the town creating this?
we have invited them to every meeting. Nobody shows up.
That's true. We used to have,
Right, so
someone that
we're
would
reaching
meet
out to you
at
guys, but you guys
I
are
don't
being.
know how many are that?
Some.
Yeah,
but the
July
last week-
7th.
July
July
6th.
7th, we got Custer County Commissioner coming, and we got the head honcho of the ambulance department coming over to talk about these grants they're doing, and they're talking about a huge grant to put a building on top here. Now they gotta have sleeping quarters, because they're gonna be manned 24 hours a day. Did you read the paper, what they're gonna start charging from Rapid City to come down with an ambulance? $70,000 a year. And you still pay for your fees, that's just to have the service. We can put an ambulance up here for less than that per year. A lady died down here not that long ago because there was an ambulance down. By the time they got here, she was gone. You could have had one from here down there in 2 minutes. She'd probably still be alive.
All right, to try to get us back on track. So, one good way to kind of summarize this, right, is we have other committees. We have other committees. We have sewer, right? If Public Works sewer folks need somebody to go to directly and they can't wait for a board meeting, that's where they go. The same with water. If law enforcement's gonna have to report to something, he'll have somewhere directly we can go, the law enforcement committee. Having an intermediary outside of official meetings where the members of the community, new businesses can go to in order to prepare for the board meetings, the same way where we work with engineers and with Public Works to prepare before we have the board meetings. This committee wouldn't replace HAGD or Connects. It would allow for a more official interface with them, which does open channels that are currently not open through the governor's office and through other government organizations. They can't get access to as easily
why?
because that's just,
Why?
that,
Because they're not a government entity.
why? We're government. Government tears down.
board
We
is.
go to local economic
If you're
development.
talking about if we liaise with HAGD, then the governor's office can go through us to HAGD, thusly giving.
Going through the town.
Right, thusly HAGD can get access to the
Can't they already?
whatever
do that?
resources they can.
So they'll be going through the government, which is appropriate, and this way, this will be a committee with policies and things in place and regular meetings so that they can meet and talk to people without necessarily having to come and sit through a full.
I think if you're so
3 hour
gung ho,
board
you should be
meeting.
the liaison that's going to their meetings and coming back and saying, hey, they need our help with this or that, and we do it.
All right, I mean.
Instead
Okay,
of
thanks for the
creating our own.
input.
it's just-
And I thought that we asked for additional information to come back to a work session. I didn't realize that you were gonna put this on an ordinance on the
We
agenda
had a
to try
work
to
session
pass.
last week.
And this would allow you.
Shanna, you don't have the floor.
You only did.
Wow.
Well, hold on.
Yeah.
Let's just do one at a time here. We're all taking turns and we got people out there that want to speak too, so. If he can present and then you have a question, please save it until he's done talking and then vice versa, and then we can get to everybody's comments. I mean, I think as far as this goes, personally, I think it's a good idea. I think if we're going to do this, we need to be careful and very, what's the word? We need to be just very pointed as to how we do this, make sure that if we need to do something like this, that we do it so that we don't inadvertently create a town thing that's gonna step on somebody's toes and.
Needs to be respectful, but
Yes.
I wanted to hear from them how they felt about it.
Excuse me, I'm just still talking. So, you know, I just think that this may require another work session where we can get more town input and everything like that, but, we'll give the floor back to Aaron, and then once he's done, we can continue.
I mean, I am happy, I'm happy to hear more from the actual business owners in town. Galena has been talking to the Governor's Office of Development rep, and they've been working with other members and connects and HAGD. Anything you guys think could possibly help by having an official government interface outside of formal meetings, places where we can discuss things like that permit change for vendor permits and things. All right, a place where when they come to the meeting, all they're talking about is that, where we have work sessions and they'll cover lots of different topics. Work sessions can tend to drag on. Really needs more of an official channel just to interface the government with these organizations and other business. So I'd like to hear from any of the business owners, whatever feedback they have.
Yes, sir. I'd like to, we'll, let the board finish with all their discussion first, and then we'll open the floor up to everyone. I know I'd like to hear what everyone has to say as well, and get their take on why this would be necessary and a prudent thing to do. But Shannon, would you like to continue?
Well, my last comment was that I think that we need to have a special meeting, not a work session, but a special meeting, and invite both groups and get a real idea of what they think would be helpful, if it would be helpful, or if they would rather come to the board when they do need help for information. Like, how often is this going to be? Do we need it? Would it be better to have a liaison go to their meetings and bring information back? I think it should be a special meeting with all interested parties that can really be discussed. That's my opinion.
All right, thank you. Okay, so I guess we'll open it up. I saw Dan's hand up a while back. Then let's hear from Galena and then Shelley and then anybody else that wants to go. Dan?
Thank you. The economic development is always a big thing. There's no doubt about it as far as positioning, but the big part of it is I kind of understood last meeting also that it would be more where we're going to have a proposal brought forward, looked at it in a work session or another meeting, and then a person decided to go forward. I've always felt heavily, because we've been involved in 2 other ones in the past in the area, that legal needs to be involved in the writing of anything that's put together on this. So every entity is covered well on that aspect of it too, because when a town enters into an ordinance, you're entering into a lot more contractual situation on that than you would with just an agreement. In the past economic developments, they were all involved where they were just basically a liaison working through the board. The board then had still the ability to go to the government, go to any other entity they needed to do, and still work through. And the board still had the ability to make their decisions, whether they thought they were right or wrong, instead of having a separate entity. And that complicated things from the past and before on that situation. The other things we always looked at was the tax revenues. Yeah, it's always great to bring business in, but you got to still stay within your municipal boundaries for us to realize the entities or the tax benefits coming from that. If they're out of town businesses, the county realizes the benefits, where we don't. Yeah, we may get some business aspects that are good on some of these situations, but we're not getting the full drum of everything. So that's why I personally thought it was going to come back to another work session and then more openly discussed from that aspect, and then look at the broad area and the area that it was going to be involving. Annexation's part of that story, what entities are going to be involved, and then where that element is taken to from there, and then looking at a liaison from the community to attend as what we used to with P&Z and look at it in that aspect. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Do you mind if we go with the others?
Oh, yeah.
All right, thanks, Galena.
as a business, having support or feeling comfortable or feeling like it was worthwhile to attend the board, especially when I first started, was very challenging. I found early on, I was kind of on my own. So in that, I've also had lots of conversations with other businesses who thought the same way. So in that story, what I'm saying is that's when Rick and Dan and I formed that because we figured we would have to provide it for ourselves. And we were willing to work together and we were willing to support each other and find resources and tools for each other. And so that's how that came about. We reached out to county, we reached out to state, found more than enough help for questions, resources, and tools. So we went with that. And so that's how Hermosa Connects came about. Was when the three of us have lots of conversations every morning, trying to figure it out. So in that, I think that developing the economic development group that we did, but then also having the group that you talked about, you can't have enough people trying to do the same thing to make things better. I don't feel like Aaron wanting to create an organization within the committee within the town is going to step on our toes. I think that it's going to create another resource, another tool, another line of support. I still want to maintain autonomy, meaning that we are doing our thing, the town is doing their thing, the economic committee is doing their thing, and we come together when it's needed based on trust and the fact that we're all trying to accomplish the same thing. So no, I don't feel like it's stepping on toes. I think it's just another line of support and resource and a tool that we can all use. New people coming in, but also that committee would help with businesses that are currently here that have questions and things like that. And I'll tell you, staying up late during these meetings was very difficult for me. So if I had a committee member to go to, it would be way easier than having to sit through this. In my time, as I've gotten older and as I've gotten busier, is much more precious. And so if it's not, meeting my needs, then I have to gauge my time and whether I'm going to be here. So having a committee through the town would be very helpful. And so, no, I don't think it'd be stepping on toes for our organization at all, because we're doing our own thing. And, we've developed that before, we have trust in each other and what we're trying to accomplish, and we work, and we do our thing. We also know that we're not in a position where we're going to have to report to anybody either. We do want to create the liaisons, we want to create the connections, and we want to create a really great line of communication. But as an organization, we do want to remain keep our independence and our autonomy so that we're not having any restrictions from that. But also we are, again, covering the whole area. So we're not, we don't have that restriction.
That's a good question. Do you work with the other committee at all?
Which committee?
There's two of them, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't remember.
No, it's
But do you work together on things? Or are you completely separate? So you support each other?
Separate, we haven't broken apron strings yet because it's still a really new organization. So.
And you feel the same way that it would be helpful?
And she said exactly what I kind of wanted to say. I think it's good to be a part of the town support and talk back and forth. Go to businesses, see what they want help from, what they could improve their business like Phil wants to.
Hey, so can I ask you all a question real quick before we, get back to the discussion? So how would a committee serve your needs better than just having a single person liaison on the board?
I think you have to be a perfect example in Aberdeen when I lived up there. Older fiberglass came in. They built the blades for General Electric for the big mills. 125 feet long or whatever. When they wanted to come to to Aberdeen, they did not go to the town. They went to the Economic Development Committee. Got everything situated there, then they go to the town and work with them. But in the meantime, the mayor was working with the Economic Development Committee on it all. So they were all kind of working together to try and bring them in. So that's what we want to do. You know, we don't want to just sit out there and say, okay, Buck, I do it, now we come in here, well, what's this all about? That's why we want somebody from the town to come to these meetings, so we know what's going on. But with this ambulance is coming in, we got two important people coming in about this, the July 7th meeting at 6, to talk about all of this. They're getting federal funding to put up that building, and it sounds like they can get a lot of money to do it. But you know, if we're gonna do it, we need help from the city and say, okay, this is what we gotta have for permits. Now, you guys talk about you want all these permits in line. Come to the meeting, explain to these people what it's about. Your commissioners and people run that ambulance and customer are not gonna come over here and sit here until 9, 10 o'clock at night to get answers. When you guys can come across the street and explain it to them in 5 minutes, what they need. That's what we're after is coordination, help with stuff like this.
Right, so I guess my question is, what necessitates on the board side having the full committee versus just a single liaison with the board? Because I think in your example, Hagby would have kind of taken up the role of the economic development committee in that story.
Hermosa has an economic development committee. It hasn't met in over 20 years. John Preston is the president, if I remember right. Because I checked at the town office here and they went back and looked. That's why we started Hague Deep, because we didn't want to drag that name into it. So we started Hermosa area, not just the town. We want to do the whole area around here.
Okay.
So if you got somebody that wants to come in, I don't know if Black Hills Electric, you know, they're putting up a huge building out here. I don't know if that's going to be in city limits or not, but we can work with it because it's Hermosa area. We don't want to just confine it to the, like a mile square.
Yeah, okay, I get that.
And that's why we did the 57744 zip code.
Sounded like a liaison.
Aaron, did you want to make your comment? Then we'll go Phil.
Phil's had his hand up for a long time. He can go.
Phil?
I was gonna kind of try and answer your question a little bit. One of the things that I have been personally doing, I worked with the South Dakota DOT, I worked with the Custer County Commission, and I've also worked with Black Hills Electric Co-op. And I could, partly because I haven't had a chance to deal with Hermosa Connects yet, this might be news to them, but because I'm always at work when they have their meetings. And I could really use the town support. So one of the things that I was working on, and all of those people are on board with this idea, and the town is probably not aware of it because it's up, is to put up a signage for all of the different businesses within the town of Hermosa. The Black Hills Electric Co-op would be willing to provide the land for that. SBDOT can back up the fact that Custer County's sign ordinance is null and void. So there's a whole lot of things going. It would be awesome to have some help from the town of Hermosa. I've been doing all that on my own.
Okay.
You know, I would like that to be everybody together, you know, but that could be huge for all the businesses.
Right, so I mean, I'm just kind of playing devil's advocate here a little bit, like, so why do you need to work with the town on that versus working with a different economic development?
So we don't come in here and shock everybody. Come in and says, okay, we got a company, we got an ambulance wants to come in, we need permits for it. Everybody needs, it took you 7 months to get the permit down there.
Right, but what I'm saying is if we have a board liaison that is in constant contact with y'all, then why does the board need a committee on top of that? That's kind of what I'm asking.
You don't need
One more
a
example.
committee, you just need a liaison.
If you go to any thriving town, city, they have an economic development committee. You go to any town that is not thriving, they don't have an economic development committee. And that's really.
But we already have two.
No.
Well, two.
I think he was talking about officially through the town.
Through the town related. I think it just creates so that there's communication with everybody involved, everybody's on the same page. Otherwise, you have different entities that are working on different things and there's not the coordination. The town itself, whether it's a liaison, whether it's whatever you want to call it, you can have an economic development committee with one or two people from the town of Hermosa on it. It would still create that coordination and help everybody, not necessarily to take over and say, no, you need to do this, you need to do that. It's just the communication.
Okay. Linda?
Thank you.
Haven't spoken on this one.
Thank you. So it is correct that we have had economic committees before. And yeah, John was on it and Matt Ramsey took it over at one time. And at any rate, I think that this entire board is pro-development. I mean, we would all love to see a fast food restaurant and ambulance service. I mean, thank God I've never needed one, but but yeah, having it here would be great if the financing is there for it. I don't, Rapid City has really raised their price for that service now, which changes things a lot. And so looking into that is a very good thing. I think that before, when we have had the economic committees, it has been like one board member and then certain members of the community on that. And I think that that is fine. I don't think we need any more than one board member on it. If it's the town's economic committee, development committee, then do we choose from the town people to be on it? I think that we are all wanting more development and more businesses around. It's being a person that has sat on this board for a very long time, on and off throughout my time of being in this town. It is difficult to want to give businesses, give the authority for businesses to be anywhere but in this town, because I am committed to the city. I have signed documents saying that I'm going to do what's right for the city. And so we would like those businesses within the city limits. And I know that is not always possible. For one thing, there maybe isn't enough land, for whatever is desired. But we are here to protect the city and to do what's right for the city. So I think that one member, in my opinion, one of our members that is willing to do that, I think that is wonderful. I think we would all like to see the growth. So I think this can be quite simple for now. I think it could be very simple for now. And after it grows and takes off and we get movement, we can add to the committee. We can change the process or make the process better. We'll learn with it. The town will learn with it. That's my opinion.
Okay, Aaron, Alina, and then Dan.
All right, so there was a lot said since the last time I talked. I want to touch on a few of those matters. So Valina, 100% supportive. This isn't looking to step in and take anything away from HAGD or Connect. This is looking to be a liaison, an interface. Now, it's a committee rather than a liaison because I am including a chairperson, a trustee, somebody who is on the board and who will be speaking as an official of the city, who was put in here by the citizens of the city on behalf of the Economic Development Committee, with the vice chair as none other than our wonderful finance officer. Because again, if there's no Economic Development Committee, a lot of labor falls just to Terry. Now, if this is read, this involves after the fact of a resolution, creating a charter where we will detail things like that. Like these are the things that the Economic Committee will work on. These are the responsibilities that the committee has to the town. These are the responsibilities the committee has to businesses in town. And it's perfectly fine to open it up to organizations like Connects and HAGD, even though they do cover businesses in the greater Hermosa area. Because if we really do want to annex, it would be really cool if the businesses around Hermosa really like us a lot. I think that'd be a good thing if all the businesses in town start to like us, including the fact that there's businesses up towards a little bit along the other side of the road from where the Crescent annexation is going to happen. And there's Gumbo Lily that has businesses on it that could eventually say, you know what? Now that Hermosa has that development committee and they're doing things and they're working together, I actually kind of would like to annex because there are benefits to it now. Benefits like a pipeline to the governor's office for economic development that they do not have now because they are a private organization. And having a separate entity with the town from the private organization creates compartmentalization that is very recommended for things like FOIAs. They're not subject to FOIAs, so that's a benefit. They can do their business without worrying about us poking our fingers into it too much. But it's more of just helping find information. Work together. Open doors, not close them. Open them as wide as we possibly can, and in the process, leave the past in the past and move forward, upward and onward.
Okay. Thank you, Eric. Melina?
Something I want to add with my conversations with the governor's office is that one of her points were having somebody from the town board or committee and then having our organizations. The thing is that there's access, tools and resources that board members have that our organization wouldn't have. So to create a better outcome, it is better to work with those two separate resources that are available. And so having that connection would be more beneficial for everybody. And then instead of those organizations trying to do them separately.
Okay, thanks, Melina. Dan?
Yeah, back to Linda's thing there, we got better for the town. Remember when Caballos came in Rapid City?
Absolutely.
They gave them $1 million tax break-off. So you're gonna have to give to get, because it'll pay off in the long run. So if we got somebody that wants to come in, we might have to give them something. We're gonna give the ambulance part of that land up there to put that building on. If that's what it takes to do it, we can rewrite that bill of sale. Terry said he's more than willing to do that. When we want to do that daycare, we're still working on that. We've met with 2 different organizations from the state, federal. They say, you got the land. 90% of the places are trying to put a building and don't even have land yet. You guys are so far ahead of them. And that's why we want to get that ambulance. We got the land for it. So if they go after that grant, that's a big check mark on their end.
Okay. Yeah, very good.
We want people to come to that meeting for the town. Try and bring the people in. That's gonna be staffed, them people are gonna live here someplace. They're not gonna be back over here from Custer.
Right, so, I mean, let me just ask this question and then we'll go to Shannon and then Phil. Do you have your hand up, Phil?
It's fine.
Okay, I just wanted to ask one question. I mean, I like all the work that you put into this, Aaron, but can't we just create a committee with a motion that's a little more informal? And to Linda's point, let the committee kind of grow and develop at that as it works, and then we figure out exactly what we need to create it. I mean, like in a more official capacity.
Well, I guess it depends on whether or not we really want it to be taken as a very serious effort. Do we want it to be seen as a serious effort to move toward economic development, or like a sort of gentle look in that direction? And we are ready for a very serious effort. And we barely have any choice. The town is spending an enormous amount of money. We need to find ways to get it back. Other than just selling sewer and water, we need big, impactful ways to get it back. And the governor's office and Hermosa Connects and HAGD working with the town through a pipeline, like you've got all the businesses come in and they focus on single Connects and HAGD, And then you've got us, and then we focus back out and go to the rest of the government that has all sorts of resource for us. But we need a focal point, an interface. And a committee means we can set regular meetings, and a committee means, we can have, say, a limited budget, because one thing is that a portion of the finance officer's pay is supposed to be coming out of the BB&B fund, but there's currently no pipeline for that to happen. So the time that is allocated during finance officer's week for economic development, now we've got that loose end tied up. Some ideas though. I like ideas. I'm more of an idea person. So I like the idea of placemats. I don't know if you thought much about that, Belina. Placemats with all the businesses around the edge of them to hand out to every business that has tables. So you can
Yeah, I've looked at a few different things.
things like that. Yeah.
One of the things I remember, in the conversation of having economic development was taking care of vendors, anything where the businesses are currently now dealing with like liquor licenses, permit fees, things like that, that can be involved in that committee versus through the town board, bringing that stuff to your meetings. Could be, handled through these committees too, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like coaching as far as filling those things out.
Mm-hmm.
As far as coaching, well, just like anything that a business needs, like liquor licenses, anything like the vendor for vendor fairs, anything where it comes to where it's business related, you probably fall under that committee. And, making it multitask versus just bringing new businesses. In fact, I could tell you there's a whole bunch of people who live here right now that want to open a business. You wouldn't have to go very far to open some businesses. But it's just in my friend place.
Shannon, did you have your hand up?
Yeah. So what I'm kind of hearing is they'd be happy with a liaison at their meeting. Or if we did our own committee, I think they'd be happy either way. I'm glad to hear that, but you don't feel that it would be stepping on toes. But the way that I see it is either if we form this, it's like an umbrella that's allowing these other groups underneath it that, protects them, has information, can be the spoke of things. That's not a bad thing. And if we go this way, I think it's really important, first off, that we have legal look at this resolution. I think there are some changes that definitely need to be reviewed and looked at. That's my feeling, whether that's in a work session or just give it to Kent to get his ideas on it. But yeah, those are the two options. I think it would be a good umbrella to, they have somewhere to go, but then they can come to your meetings, but they also want you at their meetings. So that would include, you have 2 meetings, first and third Wednesday of each month. And then you'd also be attending their meetings. This next is July 6th at 6 p.m. So they want you there at their meetings to be available to answer questions, whereas you want to have a meeting every other Wednesday for them to come to you. Maybe we have to combine them. I just think this needs more of a work session to figure out what is the best way to go or how to work it.
Linda?
So the two organizations meet together once.
We started with Hermosa Connects. And we got this land to try and do stuff with it.
Yep.
So we formed a separate entity under that umbrella of Hermosa Connect. It's kind of like what you got the Chamber in Aberdeen and Rapid, and then you got Elevate. That's under theirs.
Yep.
They branch out.
I understand that. Okay, so, and it's once a month?
Yep.
One at 6, one at 7.
As soon as one's over, we go right to the next.
Okay, thank you. I think that, I think it's a wonderful idea. I think we need to move forward with this. But I think we need more discussion. And I think it does need to be a work session. I think that, the little speedy on the whole resolution thing, we need more discussion on it. And if a resolution is needed by the state, if the state feels that we need a resolution to prove that we are um, up for this, we're ready for it. I think we are closer to ready for something big. And part of that is because of the advancement we've done on the sewer and water. And I believe that we can make this work. I think there's a whole lot of talk and a whole lot of people saying, let's work together, let's try to work together, let's talk about it, let's be there for each other. And this is something in business that back a long time ago, when somebody wanted to be in business, they had to do all the research themselves. They had to do it all themselves. There was nobody. They had to go to the bank with the complete plan in front of them to get money. And now there are so many resources for help for getting a new business started. Um, and I understand that there's more involved in putting a business together than there used to be. So the needs are greater, and there's so many things to have little businesses, home businesses with that it's needed also. So I think we need to move forward with this, but I think we need to put it in a work session and put some more time into it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Aaron, do you have a final comment?
So this just establishes the committee basically. Now, I understand there's desire for a work session, yes. This doesn't actually really do too much beyond establishing the committee, making it possible. Then the task falls to two people to write a charter. And, let's say this passed tonight, right? The next time it would be published would be next Thursday. It wouldn't take effect until the 23rd of July. By then, Terry and I could have a charter ready to go. I get that the desire is to have a work session and really get into all the nitty gritty of every little thing all at once. That's completely unnecessary. And this just establishes the committee and then makes it possible to start drafting a charter.
A resolution is
like
a
no
big
money.
thing.
Yeah.
A resolution in our laws is a big thing.
If you look in the ordinances, there's no committees per se that are even listed in there. The only thing listed in there besides the board is the commission, which was planning and zoning commission, I mean, it would be kind of a new thing to do I guess, an official committee that would translate into the ordinances, but I mean, I think as far as tonight goes, I think we had a great discussion. I don't know if there's support to pass this resolution on the board right now anyways, without a future work session. We have one coming up on the 1st. We could put this on there and see where we go from there. I mean, and obviously everybody is invited to that, and we can kind of see where we can take this thing. I don't know that further discussion tonight is going to be fruitful in that regard, but if anybody had like a quick final comment that they'd like to make on this topic, and then we can.
Be responsible and just feel about like fishing. We've got that, I think, already lined up. The average age in this area, 577, their income, everything. We've got all of that already.
Good.
So it's not like when we get a business office committee, we've got what they're looking for.
Good. That's commitment.
I would say, in order to finalize this and get to a resolution, again, we need legal's review of it, but I think that you should go ahead and work on your charter, because I think we need to see that before we approve that. And there's many things that, are you getting paid for this meeting? Should this actually be an ordinance where it's part of, like planning and zoning was? Should it be set up that way? And so that charter or guidelines would be within that ordinance. So I think that's where we need to go in our work session to decide, we're all in agreement, we want to do it. How can we put it together the right way and legally and And maybe we need to look at other communities, see how they, if it's an ordinance, that we can get a copy of their ordinances, see what they look like.
Okay, Aaron?
Yeah, so we want to, can we just make a motion to assign somebody as a liaison to, we need to have a work session to where we have the complete charter written out and we all spend a lot of time talking about it, and we talk about adding ordinances, and a resolution is covered under statute. The town is statutory authority to pursue economic development. It's, you don't need an ordinance to cover it. So, yeah, I think we should go ahead and do a first reading, and then we can make a motion after the first reading.
Well, I brought up the simple solution, and then I believe your comment was that we need to show some more, I don't know, what did you say? It was
Seriousness.
seriousness, that's right. So, if we're gonna be serious about it, then I think we should, and we should approach it in a very serious manner and take our time on this. I mean, like I said, I appreciate all the work you did on this. And, in the first reading that I did while I was sitting here tonight, it seems to be pretty good, but I also think that we should have legal professionals look at it and just to see, what exactly is this gonna get us? I mean, what is, what's the result of this type of thing, right? So, anyway, Shannon?
I would make a motion to appoint Aaron as our liaison to the groups to attend FTC's bid, if he's available and wants to attend and report back while we work on this. That would be a motion.
I would second that.
Yeah, I recognize the motion and it is seconded. Discussion, Aaron?
I don't need a motion made appointing to me to be able to go to the meeting they've already invited me to go to.
Well, we're all invited.
Yeah.
We're just saying as a board member, we're putting the start forward here as a board to make someone available to them and to be at those meetings while we're working through the process of making it a law, so to speak, for our town.
It's an official sanctioning of
Yes.
creating that liaison position to come and report back in each meeting. I would recommend on these committee reports, just like streets and everything else, that Economic Development Committee, any reports, and I think any new applications or any inquiry from any kind of business comes to this board, and the liaison picks up on that or anyone else, because I agree, once you get a governmental entity pushed in the same direction as you, they can open up different doors, they can grant things that many, obviously you can't.
You can get grants, we can't.
Right, exactly. So I think that's a great idea. And yeah, creating a liaison does give it a official sanctioned individual to go and report back all options, all applications, all inquiries.
Right.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's kind of a small step forward, but it's an official action. And it's a demonstration that if this motion passes, that the board is in agreement with the need for that, and that we can then seek to move forward in a more, I guess, serious and professional manner. So, is there any further discussion on this motion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Okay, looks like we have the motion carried. Very good. Very
Thank you.
nice. So, on to items from
Thank you.
constituents. Deb, did you have one?
I have to. I noticed that you didn't have anything about the 4th of July fireworks or anything like that. You may can have a meeting before the 4th of July. I know we usually have a shutdown time on fireworks. Not we're having any this year.
We have it all listed in the ordinance. We have it all listed in the ordinance, so the only thing that would change is if we ban it.
Yeah,
Because
but
it's
I
too
mean,
dry.
maybe put something out there where people know. Like John at the fairgrounds, it's
A reminder, is that what you're doing?
That's what I'm trying to say.
The back of the water, no? We usually put no.
So you can go out in time.
Well, they should be going out in the next few days.
What, do we have room on there to put a reminder on there for that?
The times and dates. They're allowed, that's exactly from the ordinance. Okay.
Can I ask what those are right now?
I think, it changes by what day of the week the fourth falls on. It's being on a Friday, I'm sure it's till midnight. And, the days before are till 10 o'clock, I think it is. And it,
Open up on the 1st of July or what?
on the first, I believe, first through the fifth. Maybe it's the sixth, seeing how it's a weekend. But it does differ depending on what day of the week it falls on. So we'll have to get the ordinance out to look at that.
131.05.
131.05. Okay. And what does it say, sir?
Well, it'll be unlawful for a person to discharge fireworks within the town limits, except during the period beginning July 2nd and extending to July 5th, and during the period beginning December 28th and extending through January 1st. It shall be further unlawful for a person to discharge fireworks within the town limits during the times outside July 2nd, 3rd, and 5th between 9 a.m. to 12 a.m. Midnight, July 4th between the hours of 9 a.m. and 2 a.m. on New Year's Eve. July 4th between the hours of 9 a.m. and 2 a.m. Then the rest of them are on New Year's Eve. So let me do that again. So unlawful to discharge fireworks within the town limits during the times outside of July 2, 3, and 5 between 9 a.m. to midnight. So it looks like if you want to discharge fireworks, it's July 2nd, 3rd, and 5th between 9 a.m. to midnight. And then on the 4th, it's between 9 a.m. to 2 a.m. You guys catch all that? I don't know if it's reading that. All right.
In the ordinance, did it also say that they had to be, that lived in town, it had to be in your.
It just
I mean,
says,
you don't want just random people from out there and cut through and all over town just shooting on the street.
right, well, it does say within town limits. We do have a marshal now, so we can see what we can do there. Anyways, yeah, thanks.
My second question was, at one of the meetings, Dan had brought up about the dirt up there. Could you tell me how much the town, or I should say, the taxpayers paid to have that dirt removed from the contractor down to the lagoon? How much removed?
Not the cost of the taxpayers was.
I don't think that we
Did you have
haven't
to
had
pay
any
for the-
claims yet.
You have to pay the contractor for doing it.
Yeah, I mean, did you get anything from engineering yet that stated any of that? Because that was gonna be part of the deal. It's not gonna be nothing.
They gave us some estimates, but it was like 65% it would have been if we had just paid to, basically, if we had just hired a truck to go out and get dirt, we saved like 30% compared to that.
The dirt is actually free.
Right.
It's the movement of the dirt that is costing us money. Right.
But you would have had to pay it.
Otherwise.
Anyway, exactly, yes.
Now it's just local.
Right, right.
I mean, it's, again, the whole permitting situation has to be tightened up quite a lot, in my opinion, so we'll look and see what we can do there. Is there any further items from the constituents? Thanks, Deb. No? Okay, then. Well, looks like that's the last thing. Anyone want to make a motion to go into executive session?
I'll make that motion.
Anyone makes the motion to go into
Or,
executive?
so we didn't make it now, or we make it after we adjourn, or are we gonna do adjourn?
Well.
We don't adjourn.
Recess, sorry.
Oh, well, that's, do we want to recess?
You want to do a recess?
Let's just.
The amount of recess it takes for the people to all leave and for us to.
That's fine, that's enough.
That'll be enough.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Linda makes a motion to
Yes.
adjourn at 9:15.
I don't have clocks, so I don't know.
Yeah.
9:15. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Galena.
Linda makes a motion. Do we have a second?
Yeah.
She went to the bathroom, I think.
Let me second the motion. I'll second.
Linda makes a motion. All those in favor?
Yeah.
Linda.
Yes, sir. Aye, sorry.
Good to meet you. Where you living at then?
How you doing, Laura? Good.
The summer's just park on.
Yes, I know it. It's crazy, isn't it?
Huh?
I went on, of course, always have to make sure that everything's watered, the garden is all watered, And, gosh, I just planted. I'm really late going, but I got zucchinis this big, tomatoes, and a few peppers that are like this already. So I'm like really pleased because I was really late. But yeah, you're right. It's amazing that it seemed like April took forever. And then May, the first part of May was awful, and then all of a sudden it's all gone. It just you blink and it's gone. So, yeah. Nice to see you. If it's not in use, you can. It looks dark in there. I'd say you're safe. Oh, go ahead and go. No, not you. I'm talking to Phil. Yeah. Are you leaving us? Be safe, honey. See you tomorrow. It's okay.
Hopefully.
Yeah, thought we did.
Yeah, I mean.
Who seconded it and who first? I mean, I made the motion.
I made the motion, you seconded it, and then there was a lot of discussion.
Oh, yes, there's somebody in there.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but in my observance, it doesn't seem like you have a full day on. Right.
Yeah.
Maybe we can do 4 hours. Yeah. I mean, I'm all for.
Oh, we're in
anything I do.
Oh, yes, please.
Everything that was in the job description.